2020 was a bitch. All I wanna do is this. Motherfucker don't know. Need to rail in this bitch. Niggas like to go low, but they can't get with this. Nigga trying to make money, starting off real hard. Nigga couldn't even go. Wanna know what's the show? Need to rail on the mic. YouTube streets in the night, doing all that he could. Nigga gon' keep it hood. But the haters won't top me, motherfuckers won't block me, assholes gon' flag me, motherfuckers can't stop me. Hating ass niggas everywhere, jealous niggas wanna sit and stare. Need the real, better be aware, hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass niggas everywhere, jealous niggas better sit and stare. Need the real, better be aware, hating niggas better be aware. Need the real, getting lit, yo, need the real like FICO. Need the real, score higher than a 7-800, that's not a typo. Need the real on horizon, channel growth is higher. Troller trying to play me, they a motherfucking liar. AFW on a corner, can't depend on honor. She recruit another sect, now she is a wreck. Lame niggas in another space, seeing dollar signs in this place. Good guys gon' protect the place, trying to keep the fucking haters away. Hating ass niggas everywhere, jealous niggas wanna sit and stare. Need the real, better be aware, hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass niggas everywhere, jealous niggas better sit and stare. Need the real, better be aware, hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass niggas everywhere, jealous niggas wanna sit and stare. Need the real, better be aware, hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass niggas everywhere, jealous niggas better sit and stare. Need the real, better be aware, hating niggas better be aware. What's up, everybody? Welcome. Welcome to D Darrell Rebirth Live. Happy to meet you once again. We have a shut out slides 75. Shut out to Kevin. We're going to talk about Mr. Anderson. I did content on him before, but today is going to give rise to, again, silliest bullshit nigga. This guy epitomized the problem with that space. Let me get that bitch. Sorry, baby. Appreciate you all for being here today. Coach, Godfather, Black therapist. We're going to do it big today. Appreciate being in the chat. Get the likes up. Let's see, we got 9 from D Darrell the Rebirth Live, and we got 1 from D Darrell the Rebirth Live. Hope that's gonna change. No, I want y'all to come to D Darrell the Rebirth Live. Come on now, let's get it. D Darrell the Rebirth Live. I'm giving rent. Can't give a rent from D Darrell the Rebirth. Everybody slowly coming in. To all the ladies, happy Mother's Day to each and every one of you. Hope you all are having a good Mother's Day. I know that your mother on a test, child the whole child, the emotional strain, the psychological strain, financial strain. Yes, being a mother is a good thing. I just want to let you know, you got a very good mother and also have the right people. I appreciate you coming to us. Get this started. Coming in. All right, guys. Appreciate you all for coming in today. Once again, this is Coach D Darrell Spears, aka the Godfather in some spaces, aka the sector therapist. I am here once again. Like I stated, we're gonna have a great little time today. We are going to talk about Mr. Edward Anderson. For those that know Mr. Edward, I know you're in the clouds. You all know who he is. This is all red pill type content. This is his avatar. We're gonna talk about his little interaction with Super Sly. Shout out to Super Sly. I watched the video earlier today because I was already thinking about doing content on Edward. Because Edward is a funny motherfucker. He really is, man. Edward is one of the most funniest motherfuckers in this sector, man. This nigga is so fucking funny. Like, this nigga is so funny. So I just want to say that I have seen this dude for years. And Edward don't really know me like that. But he's heard of me. We had one encounter, but I used to hear this nigga when O'Shea was on the Rumble. I don't think we were ever on a panel before on the Rumble. Maybe once or twice, but I don't interact with him because he go in spaces I don't fuck with. Like when you fucking with people, to me, the worst, I'm gonna say this. The worst side of the manosphere sector is these niggas who basically idolize BGS. These guys be some of the dumbest Negroes I have ever seen in my life. These Negroes look at this guy like he has fucking cracked the code of life. He discovered the fountain of motherfucking youth. They act like Edward Anderson. What's up, Renaissance man? He say, man, Edward Anderson is something. He is, man. Edward Anderson is one of the biggest fucking crybabies that I've ever seen. And I'm gonna say this for those that in case he watches somebody, how people like to send emails and stuff like that. Man, I've talked about Edward Anderson multiple times, so this is not just because some shit just happened between Edward and Super Sly. No, this shit been going on for the longest. That I thought he was funny. Now it intensified when I was over there with Sergeant Faulkner, Charles Faulkner, because he goes over there too late at night. And I used to go and fuck with Charles, but Charles, he's scary. Charles, he's scared to come and deal with D. Darrell with the conscious client. He want me to come on his home field. He don't like to play away games. I don't mind playing away games because I'm confident no matter where I go, where I'm at, I'm good. I'm used to having 10, 12 Negroes, losing their goddamn mind because I'm speaking the truth, putting truth to power. And I get it. They intimidated. Putting truth to power. I get it. I get it, man. I get it. I get it. You're intimidated. You don't like to hear the truth. You don't want to hear about red pill dysfunctionality. You don't want to hear about the fact that you niggas don't know how to read research. You don't want to hear that you all have some stupid ass talking points that are not applicable to real life. And I know some of you motherfuckers are watching right now. And yes, D. Darrell did say that shit. So I'm going to play a video. I'm going to play short screen share, guys. And I'm not going to be that long today. I may be 45 minutes to an hour and a half at the most. I just wanted to go live because I haven't went live and I haven't, cammed up in a while. So as far as on live stream, so I decided to come in and talk a little shit because Super Sly went live earlier today. This nigga went off. He was like, man, it was so funny. But I want you to listen to this shit. Now this is little Edward. Okay, this is a little Edward. He about 5'5", 175 pounds. But listen to this shit.
Every time he wants, you talk about women, you do, dude. If I see you in real life, you will never speak to me like that in real life. No.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I already started off. Who is scared of a nigga who 5'5", 175 pounds? Nobody's scared of you, man. What are you talking about?
Keep in mind,
this is Super Sly, guys.
What I tell you, what anything to expect and see, internet versus real life. Listen, I've been up trying to they talk about it.
And Edward Anderson does talk a lot of shit, and that's a definite.
Homosexual. He dropping F-bombs and stuff. He won't let me up because he mad. I don't know. He's saying all this stuff that he would never say to my face,
First things first. Super Sly came up there. Nigga, I don't give a fuck about you, who you are. And I'm going to tell you something. This is why when you sent me that money like a bitch because fucking Grandmaster Troll doxed your whole ass and I sent that money back and it took LAR because I didn't want your chump change pussy ass money.
Nigga, are you serious? This is some crazy. Now I never knew this shit because I remember hold on. I remember this shit happening. But it's been a while. But I didn't know it encompasses all of this bullshit about taking the Cash App or not accepting it because he didn't want to be doxxed. And yes, Grandmaster Troll does dox people. And the people, especially people he don't like, He has a history of doing that shit, and he don't go live that much. So I'm gonna have to go check the archives on that shit. But what I'm gonna say is this. Nigga, you got the money. You know you need the money. Nigga, you don't work. You take care of your mom. You pay bills off of YouTube checks. So look, swallow your pride. Nobody made you accept that money. LAR just tried to play peacemaker to your ass. But nigga, you know you need that money. Stop.
This is my ass nigga. And nigga, the fact of the matter is, nobody gives a fuck about who you are and what you about, other than bitch ass niggas that support you. This is what dudes that I'm actually cool with that I can't fuck with as long as they fuck with you. Straight like that. I like Nick Taylor. I think Nick Taylor's a great guy. The reality is I can't fuck with Nick Taylor if he fucks with you.
Let me say this, okay? Let me say this. See, he's on this thing, and I know this happens a lot on YouTube where, you know, people claim that, you know, they're not going to fuck with you if you fuck with this person. And I have done something similar to that. I have told people, if you fucking with anti-Afro Spengali, for those that in the Spengali sector, I've done that shit in the Spengali sector, where if I'm not saying you can't fuck with her, period, but, you know, I'm going to be very wary of motherfuckers who friendly to her. And the fact of the matter, if they come into your chat and I'm there, I'm leaving. I'm getting the fuck out. Like, that's just common fucking sense. Like, if somebody you know has been fucking with you and doing a lot of shit to harm you, why would you, you know, like, put yourself in a position to continuously get fucked around with, potentially doxxed, with people you think you cool with and you don't know you cool with? I mean, there's a lot of things to consider. But this nigga want to play YouTube politics. Locast say, let's like, oh, we gonna talk. I'm gonna send the link. I just want to play this shit. But I just want to preface this shit. I just want to state my position, is because this happens a lot where people feel like if you fuck with certain people, I'm not fucking with you no more. My position is, I'm not fuck. It ain't that I won't fuck with you. I won't fuck with you if I see them in there. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that it's me.
Because if BGS fuck with you, can't fuck with me. Like, that's how serious that is.
You a goddamn lie. You have idolized BGS Itmore for damn near almost a fucking decade. Stop it. At least 6-7 years. Stop. That's your YouTube father, your YouTube philosopher, your YouTube idol. Stop.
You are such a bastard that I can fuck anybody that fucks like with it. I have a and I'm be real. If you and O'Day issues, I wouldn't be able to fuck with those. So this nigga, every time talk up you do see you in real life, you wouldn't do like that in real life. That's why you was up there talking about what you was gonna do in the manosphere meetup, talking about you gonna put a blade to somebody because your short ass, and I say this as a short nigga, you about
to talk. This nigga said, how the fuck? You gonna call somebody a short nigga and you a short nigga? This shit is funny. Wait a minute, man. How you gonna call Super Sly a short man and you a short man? This shit don't make no sense, man. This shit is incredible, man. Just the stupidity of these motherfuckers. They just say anything. Let me continue. This shit is crazy.
Talk to some 6-foot niggas like you gonna do something. You ain't gonna do nothing but make a video talking shit because your fucking pint size ass is all you can do. And don't think I don't.
Paint size ass.
I don't know your dumb ass is in Houston. So you really need to shut the fuck up like you think can't nobody reach your ass. You really do.
The brother wanted to say something.
Now this is a snippet of what actually happened and how these niggas. And I'm gonna say this, man. I'm gonna say this. I used to do this kind of shit where I would go on these panels, and as you can see, you got Renaissance man. This little paint size man trying to threaten people. You got 10 people in this panel. Super Sly is the only one on that panel that is anti-red pill. I used to do shit like this. And the reason why I stopped is because you find yourself arguing with 7, 8, 9 Negroes. And the shit gets you nowhere. You all worked up, blood pressure up. You all, geeked up, ready, just yelling and hollering and cursing at people. And it basically accomplishes nothing. But I get it. You want to do it? I've been there and done that. But here we go.
He actually kind of rude. So I'm gonna go ahead and speak. Okay.
They let him speak.
Who's it on, me?
Yeah, you.
All right. Okay. What's the problem here? This is what I don't understand. Once again, why are y'all concerned about a class of women that doesn't fit your needs or your narrative? You're not going to change these women and question half life experience with what we begin with.
What thing, brother? Hold on. Can I answer?
Now, what he said made sense. Chat, let me know what you think. What he said, he asked a relevant, logical fucking question. Why are you worried about women that you claim you don't want? Why are you concerned about women you claim you don't want and they don't want you? Why are you, he came into question the legitimacy of their claims against black women and how they're being treated in real life. This is some incel type shit. But he asked a good question and watch the reaction.
No, you cannot. Okay. How do you convince guys to give these women up?
We're not trying to convince anybody to give anybody up.
Convince the guys not to get. First of all, see, this is the problem with this manosphere shit, is that they think the average guy has these problems. The average guy doesn't have these problems. And the average guy is not giving up women. You can, I don't know where the fuck you get that shit from. That shit will never happen. I don't give a damn how bad it is in these streets.
It's called.
These are the guys.
Move accordingly, adjust and move.
He's coming to these problems.
Guys.
No, how?
By not telling what it is.
What is it?
You have no power over these.
Who?
But it's up. Tell them these women. They're not asking.
Yes, they are.
They saying you got no power over these women. Okay. What about? It's not about a question of power. It's a question of whether or not this woman think you worth a damn. Like, it's not about this thing. It's not about power. It's about, do she see that you worth it? Are you worth her giving submission to it? Or are you worth her wanting to invest her time, emotions, and body in your ass? What about developing a relationship of respect? See, this is the problem. The lack of understanding relationships. What they want is there is a submissive and dominant dynamic or dichotomy of between men and women, where the women are automatically supposed to assume the man takes the dominance, and then these women just willfully give up themselves, all of their faculty and agency, up to somebody else that's not capable of leading you anywhere. Even if a man is capable of doing those things, that doesn't mean you give up your ability to think and do for self. And these guys, obviously, I'm like, what women you were dating for you to think that the average black man is dealing with this shit, and they're not. The average black man don't have these problems. You niggas are the minority. You are a loud minority on YouTube.
No, there can't be. There's no way. No.
Yes, they
Nobody's
do.
asking you
Yes,
guys
they
help
do.
us with women. No one's
yes,
asking
they do. Yes,
you
they
or
do.
Edward help with
Yes,
women.
yes, they do.
No.
Yes, they prove it. You read my emails?
I don't. Why to read you?
Read my emails. This is the same man that told me, and he loved. And I'm gonna say this, and I want to, kind of state this a little bit. And in my interaction with BGS, because that's the person who's talking, he always talks about the men who are contacting him secretly, the men who are discussing things with him and coming to him to solve their problems. I guess he's consulting. Like, he had an interaction with me and told me the average guy that emails him and contacts him makes over $80,000 a year. And I said, you're motherfucking lying. You lying. Because these niggas in this space barely can hold a full-time job, better yet, attempting to make that kind of money. This shit is crazy. Renaissance Man said, this sounds crazy. No one is ever going to tell his daughter to be dependent on a man. This guy don't get it. They don't get it. They don't understand the dynamics of what it takes to have a true relationship. There's no way I'm gonna tell my daughter to totally depend on a man, particularly in the infancy stages of the relationship. That's some shit you develop over time. Once he is proven to be secure enough that you could even do that, if you chose to do that. You cannot expect women to not develop themselves and not to become industrious and not to become educated and skillful, to bring their skills to the marketplace and to be handsomely compensated for that. No one in this era is thinking that their sole survival as a woman is based on the successfulness of a man. Them days are long gone. Women now are becoming more educated. Women go to college at a higher rate. They graduate at a higher rate. They're getting all types of jobs in a lot of places that they never have before. That's the reality. You need to adjust to the reality. But the fact of the matter is that you niggas are not successful people. BGS is on fixed income, talking about what somebody gonna submit to.
The emails.
And prove that.
I read those.
In other words, these are questions that okay. What do you?
At the end of the day, there's nothing you guys can do with these women.
That's the way you handle it.
No. At the end of the day, there's nothing you guys can do with these women. So what your best bet is? Your best bet is to move accordingly and adjust, make adjustments.
How is that?
What do you mean? How is that?
How is that?
You don't know how to adjust according to.
No.
You don't know how to find a woman that's
spell it
best
out
for you.
Spell it out.
It's called FAWOMANN. Find a woman that's best for you.
Spell it out.
I just did.
No, you didn't.
And where's you?
How do you do?
Where's your?
Spell it out.
Where you have arcane skills? No one believes you.
BGS, in all intents and purposes, BGS is one of the most, oh my God. I'm trying to speak of the word, man. This is one of the most idiotic people that I have ever seen that people listen to. They bleed and breed incel-like behavior. Just Jay just talked, shout out to Just Jay, talked about the lack of social skills, lack of communication, lack of intellectualism, lack of emotional intelligence, and lack of adjusting and transitioning to, they ain't living in a fucking dream world thinking that they're supposed to be in a position where they are going to be entitled to women giving them the utmost respect and submissiveness and cooperativeness, and you have nothing. Listen, guys, Edward Anderson lives with his mother. This nigga lives with his mother, and this is a fact. Edward Anderson lives with his mother. This is a fact. Now, what woman wants to marry a man that lives with his mother? They can't even fuck you when they want to, because you living with your mama. You can't even provide a place for her to stay. You can't take care of yourself. No woman wants that, Edward. And also the fact that you're only 5'5", 170, 65, 75 pounds, no woman sees that as attractive. Yes, May. He lives with his mother. He has lived with his mother all of his adult life. Yes, he lives with his mother. He talks about his mother all the time because he hates his mother. Even though he's taking care of her, he claimed the rest of his sisters and brothers don't want to take care of her, so he had to do it. But the fact of the matter, it's not that you had to do it. You had to survive because you have no other means of living anywhere else. You were basically picked to do it because all your other sisters and brothers had husbands and wives and they have their own homes with children. You're the odd Negro out with no kids, no wife, no home, you had shit going on for yourself. So you were the odd man out. That's the facts, Edward. They were like, nigga, you got the least to lose in this shit. You don't have any life. You don't have any skills. You on YouTube all fucking day. Go take care of mama. We got shit to do. That's what they told us. Oh, and let me continue.
Nobody believes. In fact, half you guys nobody believes y'all experiences with women.
Keep in mind, this is a representation of what SBE is. Just let the record show. Hey, who the fuck do? Who is he?
You know who he is.
Is he a content creator? I don't know who the fuck is that. Is that Super Sly?
No, it's Super Sly.
Oh, of course.
And listen to this, and listen to this other effeminate ass Negro. Look how he talking. They getting mad. And see, I've been there, guys. I've been in these situations before. I've been in these situations with these Negroes, and they all trying to jump on one person that has an alternative viewpoint. If anybody want to get the link, you can get the link. Having alternative viewpoints. And they all want to start asking you a bunch of questions and shit. And this other guy, I think his name G's Serotonin, he knew damn well who Super Sly was. Stop.
I'm just. Hey, the nigga, first of all, hold on. Where's your bitch at?
No.
Like, seriously, I think about it. I'm gonna calm down. Here's my issue.
And then notice, when Super Sly left, then this Negro want to talk a bunch of shit. Edward did the same shit to me when I was over there with Charles Faulkner about, I want to say shit, maybe 6-7 months ago. He did the same shit to me. The minute I left, he came up and started talking shit with him and the Roger Report. Another Negro who weird as fuck. Like, this is the bullshit that these niggas do, man. And you sit here and you be like, what the fuck, man? Like, are y'all serious? And this is what you experience. This is what you got to hear. This is what they talk about. And they think they right about everything, man. They think you can't tell them shit about black women. You can't tell them a motherfucking thing. You can't tell him shit. Now, this is BGS channel. I'm trying to see if he was live on this shit. Because this shit just happened. And let me check and see if this is, because this is like a 5 hour. This was a fucking 5 hour and 46-minute live stream. If anybody want to get the link, you can get the link. The link is in the chat. So, oh, this it. This is it. It's these niggas in here. I'm trying to look for Super Slide now. Damn, he might have left. He just got a panel of nothing but fucking, and I see Faulkner up in there. I see all these same old incel ass niggas, same dudes, man, same motherfuckers that say the same shit. I'm trying to look. Damn, I wish I had the I wish I had the goddamn timestamp. What's up, Renaissance man? What's up, player?
Hey, what's up, D Darrell?
What's up, man? What's going on? We talking about little Eddie today, man. He all in his feelings again, you know.
Man, here's the thing. I think it may be because you were just playing that clip. Because I had another conversation with BGS on the Code Breakers, DC's channel.
Right.
About that whole Ebony K. Williams situation. But I've been noticing like he a lot of people have really been coming at him lately. Like just really
questioning Edward or BGS at BGS?
At BGS, and I think like you said, Edward is one who's very much been down with him and his ideology and been one of his biggest disciples. So that's why it seems I'm sure he's getting triggered by this as well, because a lot of people are really like challenging BGS like he hasn't been challenged before.
Right, but see, this is the issue, and this is why I've had about 2 bouts with BGS. And both of those bouts were on I think it was on maybe Charles Faulkner channel, and then I think a couple times on a Mirror. Man, listen, every time you give pushback to BGS, he gets upset and he get mad. Like he ain't never had a debate in his life. Like we debated statistics and some research that he brought up. And soon as I started telling him the flaws of the research and how he is not reading that research correctly, he get mad. He started getting condescending. He started going and Super Slide talked about this. He'll start saying yeah, right. He'll start getting he'll start getting all of his feelings because he's used to just spewing out information and everybody just big up in him, telling him how great he is. And that's a problem. Like, how you consider yourself an intellectual, and then somebody trying to debate with you or trying to challenge what you're saying, you start acting all sissified and in your feelings instead of supporting your claims.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, if you're intellectual, honestly, an echo chamber bores you. If you really like, you want to go somewhere where someone's going to come and challenge you and make you think about things in a way that you haven't really thought about, because most intellectuals are open-minded. But, the more and more it kind of seems like he's kind of pushing an agenda. Because, we were talking about the whole Ebony K. Williams situation, and he was basically kind of saying that, there's going to have to be a new social contract, and, these women are just going to have to accept what they get. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, the world is
nobody has to. What world are you living in? Nobody don't have to accept anything they don't want to do.
Here's,
and if they don't accept it, what's going to be the result? What's going to be the consequence if they don't accept it? Like this shit don't even make sense, man.
Well, here's the thing. I was saying, yeah, there's going to be a new contract, but it's going to be with men who are actually making it to the other side. Because I do agree, like, as you get more and more women who are educated, upwardly mobile, if you have the natural tendency of a woman to want to date either her equivalent or higher, that pool is going to get smaller. Especially, I think that's kind of what you saw a little bit with Ebony K. Williams. But I was like, here's the thing. So you're going to see more of that just because, like you said, more women are earning degrees. So there's going to have to be sort of a reset of at least how relationships. But I'm like, that's going to assume the men who make it to the other side, like the men who just aren't cutting it, like American society is just going to discard them because that's what it's always done. That's what I was trying to tell them. I was like, you can't just sit back and tell these guys that, okay, you can just be like, you know, who you are, and there's just going to be a reset and that's going to take care of it. It's like, no, there's going to be a reset for those who make it, you know, past this next, you know, revolution of, you know, really.
But see, there's a problem. See, this is the problem that they not dealing with, because I deal with these women professionally.
Yeah.
And the fact that, see, this is the untold story that these Negroes don't know because they don't get out the house. The issue is this. No, I'm gonna tell you, because this is why I don't, because I'm like, I don't have time to be debating on stuff I already know what the truth is. When I know the truth, there's no reason for me to debate amongst fools. And so my position is this: these women, the higher educated women, I'm talking about women who have master's degrees and above, or even a bachelor's degree, and they're very successful. Most of these women don't date men with equal education. They are already trying to date men that are less skilled and educated than them. That's what people not understanding.
Yeah, no, I've seen it in my family. I've seen it in my family where, like, you know, a woman's educated and she'll date someone who's not. But here's the thing: when they had the whole conversation, my only problem with Ebony K. Williams is I don't feel like she should have just like poo-pooed on bus drivers like that. Like,
as far as it's, I'm gonna say this: Ebony K. Williams, and I'm gonna be honest, if you look at social media in its entirety, a lot of women had issues with what she said.
Yeah,
a lot of women had issues. Now, this wasn't a situation where it all shifted to women like, yeah, you know, these niggas ain't shit. They ain't, you know, no. There was a lot of women who was like, you know, my issue with Ebony K. Williams is that you use the fact that this man would be the owner as the primary reason for you being with a guy. And you see, this is the kind of woman who gets with a successful man and don't know how to keep him. Because when you're trying to keep him, and her history shows she don't know how to keep a man. She don't. This is a woman that doesn't know how to keep a man. And the reason why is, number one, she has an ugly presentation. She has a holier than thou temperament. And she thinks she's entitled to other people's money. Before a man is listen, if a man finds value in you and wants to marry you and be with you, he will automatically in that process share his resources. It's an afterthought. This is shit that people don't think about. This is like, oh, well, I've been with her for 2 years now. No. This shit automatically happens in the natural maturation of a relationship. And so what that tells me is that she go into a relationship thinking, because I'm worth this, then you gonna have to spend this and have this to give to me. It's about me. It ain't no us. And that's the issue that she has that she don't understand. And that's why she 40 years old. Yes, you worth about $2 or $3 million, and you making good money, but no man, Rena, the higher ups are on her level that'll work that amount. They don't want to date her.
Yeah.
They don't. But you know why they don't want to date her? It has everything to do with the fact of how she carries herself and how she acts and how she treats a man. It got nothing to do with how much money you make and how educated, because there's more. See, we got to get past this financial shit. We got to get past this. I'm sorry, man, because especially when it comes to men and then looking at women, because men are not looking at that. We don't place a premium on how much money you make. We don't, especially if you already got yours.
Well,
now women, you can place a premium on a man's wealth, but you got to look at other factors along with that. Like, yes, he got all his money, but will he be loyal to you? Will he be faithful to you? Will he not try to beat your ass? Is he not going to curse you out and do all kind of hateful shit to you? Is he going to try to, that's other shit you got to also put in the, but she didn't speak of any of that shit.
Nah, see, my thing, no, I agree. See, that was my whole thing with the whole situation with her was just like, she went from, if she would have said, hey, I would have some concerns because, given his occupation and my occupation, like, our interests would be kind of different, or like, like what I like to do, it may be a mismatch. I wouldn't have had a problem with that. Cause I do think that's fair to say, hey, I'm a lawyer. So, I spend most of my days reading a lot of legal things and like keeping up with stuff versus, if you're a bus driver, when I get done with work, I may want to go to the gym or I may want to go here for vacation versus, if you're a bus driver, you may just enjoy doing your job and coming home and watching the game and being done with it. Like, or doing like, that would be one thing. It was just the fact that she said like that he had, like, she looked down on it like it was, she tied it to mediocrity, which I was like, yes, that was what was problematic, is that we can't look down on someone for doing an honest day's work.
Right. What's up, Full Circle? Your take?
You really want my take?
Yes, sir. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I know why you asking.
I'm already embracing myself. Go ahead, brother.
No, you said you ready for it? My take? All right, yes, so I'll give you my take.
Give it to me.
All right, so I'll give it to you. Honestly, I really, I'm not gonna say I don't care. I will say that it was an awakening. And when I say an awakening, it was an awakening, and it hit a lot of channels out there. I don't know about TMZ, but all the way to the Breakfast Club with DJ. What's his name? DJ
Envy. DJ Envy.
Okay, so we got DJ Envy. And they going back and forth. I didn't need any of that. That's for what it was. But for myself personally, I really didn't, because she said what she said, regardless of the doubling down, doubling up. She needed more of an explanation, according to what she said on the Breakfast Club with DJ Envy. If it was put a certain way that he had if that bus driver had benefits and he was doing this, he was doing the extra. She said what she said. Okay, D. Darrell. But for some of us, and I'm going to use you as an example. The other brother on the panel, I'm not familiar with him. I don't know him, but not like that. But I mean, I'm more familiar with you, D. Darrell, with you and your career and what you do for a living. I can say this. You have many of us, and we have to be honest. I was out today and I was listening to another channel, D. Darrell, and then I was out and about on my motorcycle. And I rode around, and I use this as an example on another panel. How many times... And we don't know these individuals besides the bus driver. I'll use this particular job industry, security guards. And you've got them out there where you live, the brother on the panel, you've seen them. We've all seen them, security guards. And I've always thought to myself, depending on their situation, if they got kids, family, wife, whatever they got, do they ever think to themselves when they're working that there's got to be more, D. Darrell? It's got to be more. Now, I don't know if they're going to college, going to school, if they came in none of these situations. But I'm not going to say that in the next 5 years, they'll still be in that position. But it does make you think, D. Darrell, because honestly, with her saying it, and I said it was an awakening, eye opener, we have to want more. Because if you got yourself, D. Darrell, that security guard and that bus driver, you're a married man. Shout out to you. You being the breadwinner, the leader. There are those women when it comes to hypergamy, you know what I mean? Just, patriarchy, all of that good stuff that's in the manosphere or in these streets, always spoken about. They're looking at men like yourself. You get what I'm saying? I mean, we're in 2023, and I'm not talking about it's about the come up, but women do want that type. They want that man. Now, regardless if you got businesses, and we have to be honest with ourselves. If you do a comparison side by side, and I use not just the bus driver, because that's the talk of the town, a security guard, they're going to look for the men like yourself. You know what I mean? Be honest. Because with you, without bragging or without bragging, they're they're looking at you, D. Darrell. They're looking what you can bring to the table, and without you even saying, well, what you bring to the table, you step into the plate knowing what you can bring to the table because you know what you're capable of doing. You put in the work. You've gotten the education. And you the man that's going to be like, I'm the man. You don't even have to say anything. So for her saying that, it should have told many to say, like, I've been doing this for a minute. Whatever they doing, I've been doing this for a minute. And they brought up to 20 years. You got some cats, D. Darrell, 20 years, and they ain't moved a rock. They so content, and that's fine. That they look at they get the benefits. They got I ain't talking about even the military, the army. Shout out to them, thank them for their service. They are so happy with what they have and where they're at. To when it comes to that other conversation in these YouTube streets, where it's like, man, I can't get nobody, I can't get nowhere. But you ain't never tried. You don't even want it. So I don't want to hear not you and the man and the brother on the panel. I don't want to hear nothing out your mouth talking about the claim. I ain't even talking about SBE talk, you know what I mean? I don't want to hear none of that because you get what I'm saying, D. Darrell? You're not even trying. You ain't even tried. You got all these online classes. You got ones left and right. They looking, not you looking up, looking down. They looking up from where they at, looking down at you. And you steady in 20, 30 years, knock on wood, however long you're going to be on this earth saying, I'm still doing the same thing because you don't want nothing. You honestly don't want nothing.
Full circle. Isn't that most men?
No, well, hold on. Are you saying men, or break it down? Are we saying men in general? Or are we talking about culturally?
I'm just talking about most men across the board. Like the fact is, like when you look, most men are not going to go to college in this country, let alone go and get a professional degree. I mean, that's why it's like you're kind of talking to a certain segment of men.
Well, no. Actually, I'm okay. So you asked me, are you saying is that all men? I was gonna piggyback behind that and say no. And then you said it, I'm speaking of a particular group of men. Now on one end, let's go there. I can speak of our men. But if you really want to go there, I can throw in other men and use that as an example with the Ebony Williams. I'm going to piggyback and double back on that because when it comes down to it, when it comes to our men, I want to see us grow, but I don't want to have it in these YouTube streets when it comes to the conversation, when it comes to quote unquote our men, it's the same conversations. I do want to see the men like D. Darrell, where it's like, now that's what I'm talking about. We got the lawyers, the doctors, the this, that, and the other. There's always room for growth, brother. That's what I'm getting at. When it comes to our men, if you want to be specific, not other groups, because we can go there, our men could do 100% better. And we're some of us, not all, we're not.
No, I hear you. I'm saying like there's only so many men, even if we wanted to, that are going to reach that echelon.
But but now with echelon, you break it down. What do you mean by echelon? I know what you mean, but what do you mean?
Like there's only going to be, like for me, for example, so I have my master's degree. I work in corporate America, but I understand there's only going to be so many of us that are going to make it to that spot. Like D. Darrell, I understand he's a business owner, he's a therapist, he's got his master's degree, but there's only so many. And the problem is, like, we just can't put down. It becomes elitist to a certain extent. You can't just put down all the men. I get that. Hey, people should strive for their best, but we can't like look down on brothers just for like, doing their best and just working a regular job.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you some pushback, if you don't mind, D. Darrell. I'm gonna give you some pushback on that. You got this. I got to give him this. Go ahead, D. Darrell. Yeah. Hold on. I'm gonna give you this pushback. You got the ones like D. Darrell, like yourself. You got them out there. I do respect that. I see it. I observe it. When it comes to the certain elite spots, there's certain spots. Now, check this out. There's only so many that can get in those spots. They used to have that saying, it's 2 to 3 women to every one man. When I'm out and about in the streets, we got white collar, we got blue collar, we got techs, we got the ones that are out there working for the city, this and the other. We ain't talking about making millions, but making a good amount of that 6-figure.
Living comfortable.
Yeah, living very. Look at D. Darrell and look at from Texas to Atlanta. Talking about the nice mansions, not no paying, like in California, $1 million for some little hut. I'm talking about real good living. I see out there when I'm out and about. We'll just use construction workers making good money. There's a lot of industries, and they're not even elites. And I sit back and I look at it, brother. I'm referring to you, referring to you, sir. Where they're in a position. Got families, married, children, ain't struggling out on the streets, ain't making millions like Ebony Williams, but they're doing good. They're not elites, but they're doing good. When I look at it, I see other cultures. I literally will count on my hands, not the sisters, I'm talking about brothers, black men, men first, that are making that are at that status, that are even trying. Now, I'm not going to use the race card. I'm literally talking about that have put in the work. I'm not even speaking of elites. So when you mention as far as there's so many spots, when it comes to elites, absolutely. I wouldn't even try. Speaking of trying and not stepping on my own words, putting my foot in my mouth, I wouldn't even try it. Now, for what I just spoke to you about, absolutely. And that's what I'm not seeing.
Okay, no, that's cool. That's cool.
Okay, let me let May. We'll continue the discussion, but I want to hear from May. How you doing, Queen?
I'm doing good. I'm a little bit new to the show. I've watched about two shows before.
Okay.
So thank you for letting me come on the panel. Yeah, this is very interesting. This whole ebony conversation, and the brother disturbed me a little bit when he said that part about elitist. That word bothers me. And the reason why it bothers me is because it's a bad word in Black community, and I think that there's this Black utopia that we got to let go of, like this idea, because we all came from slavery, that we all supposed to be equal and at the same economic level. We're not all equal. We got to let that go. Every single culture and every single society in every country has an elite group. They have their 1%, their 2%, top 5%. Everybody has that. However big it is, I don't know. But we have rich. We have uber rich. We have people who are middle income. We have professional class. We got working class, blue collar. We have poor folks, poor working folks. We have people who are infested with poverty. And we got folks who are on the street, nowhere to go. We got all of that. And we got to embrace it all without judgment. And I just think that that's why we keep saying it's not but only so many spots. We keep aiming low, and then we wonder why we're not raising higher. There's nothing stopping Black men from going to college. There's nothing but commitment and opportunity. They giving money out for you to go to school. This is real. It's an option. So saying and making excuses that Black men just can't, I don't get where that come from. If Black women who have more against them in society can do it, I know that Black men can. They have male privilege. So that's my thought. We got to stop acting like we are all in a Black utopia and we all equal. I'm an educated Black woman. I have 4 degrees. 3 of them are graduate. I am not signing up for a dumb brother. I'm not. I'm sorry.
So okay. So in you saying that, okay, you have your degrees, right?
Yeah.
And you have utilized those degrees to better yourself and to be compensated based on your level of skill. Is that correct?
I did, yeah.
Okay, now my question, because I think you're definitely a person that I think this question definitely pertains to. Now, the question that I want to raise is somebody's some bad feedback. I don't know who that
the person
is.
who just came on the panel, they got a mute.
Okay, I got it. Okay, can you hear me, man?
I can.
Okay, good. So my position is this. I would like to understand because see, my position is I see women like you all the time in my practice who have attempted to date men, not saying that they're dumb, but they're just not as educated as you are. Okay? And they could be not as successful and such. But my question to the women who think, as such, I understand you're not going to date a dumb a man, he has to have some level, but what's the threshold? Like, what's the range that you're looking for? Does he have to have equal to that or more? Or let's just say the brother he don't have 4 degrees, but he got 2 degrees and he's making 75, 80K. I mean, I see it's very fluid as I hear so many people talk about this. And as I hear, there's a lot of inconsistencies among Black women as far as what they're looking for.
That's right.
When it comes to these men, because you can't sit here. It's almost like this, and this is the issue I try to work with a lot of women understanding. Yes, you have invested in yourself, and because you did that does not guarantee you getting a man that you think you deserve.
That's true.
And they think, and there's a difficulty with some women understanding that because Matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, I had a lady came in. She has 2 PhDs, master's degree. Yeah, she had a PhD. She got a PhD in accounting and I forgot some other science. Now, and she teaches at a university. She does all type of consulting. She makes several $100,000. She's great, okay? But she feels because of what she has done, she should have a man equal to or more. She deserves that. And she is entitled to that. And I'm trying to help her understand. Listen, I commend you on your accomplishments, but your accomplishments don't entitle you to anything. It don't.
When you say entitled, because I'm gonna answer your question as an educated Black woman, and it's 2 parts to the answer.
Go ahead.
With her, in her case, I do think she's entitled to feel that she deserves it. I think that the reality, when what the brother was saying, is only because so many Black men think like that, and they don't go to school, and they don't. I see a lot that do, but it's not enough. It's not equal enough to match the amount of women. So as much as we might wish, want, and desire, it may not be part of the opportunity. Okay, the opportunity may not be there. I won't say the word entitled. I think everybody's entitled to the desire, but the opportunity may not exist in the capacity that she wants it to. She would love to have 100 Black men to choose from, and she probably will end up having to compete over one. You see what I'm saying?
But my position, when we're looking at it from a relationship standpoint, your achievements and success does not guarantee that you're going to function appropriately in a relationship.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Absolutely not.
And this is what is missing. And this is the issue that I had with what Ebony stated, because she didn't mention.
But at the same time, the bus driver don't necessarily mean he gonna be functional either.
Exactly, it goes both ways. But see, my position is that no one mentioned other key attributes, because when I hear women talk in the normal aggregates, they talking about the main issues. Most Black women that I know, that I don't care what social economic, they're looking for a man that has some level of. They're not saying they got to make 250 plus thousand, but they're looking for some level of security that they can provide, especially if something happened to them, that he can hold his weight. They looking for fidelity. They looking for a man who don't lie. Those are the 3 things. They looking for those things. They're not. I mean, they're talking about these types of things, and they looking for a man, that is going to be a good father or has those type of.
You're correct. They want all those things, but they want him to start. Like when you go for application, they start out with your education. Like, in order for you to qualify for this position, you have to have at least a bachelor's degree. That's where women are. They're saying, I have this many degrees and this much level of education or this much exposure to the professional world. I want a man who equals that. And he's probably more likely going to equal pay, and we'll be close in range to each other. And then after we see that we have the requirements, the basic requirements for the job met.
Hey, Coach Darrell.
This is the next part is, how about the characteristics of the man? You see what I mean?
No, that's a fair. Right. I think that's a fair way forward. I just think, like the example you gave, Darrell, that lady who has that type of qualification, she's got to be willing to date maybe a man with a bachelor's or a master's. She can't expect to just limit her pool to a man with a PhD, because PhD is like 6% of the population.
Yeah. Okay. Let me go ahead and let Oz speak, and then we'll get back to you. Hey, Oz, go ahead, baby.
I think it's a bunch of baloney. I think all of this is a bunch of baloney. It's a bunch of baloney. Because, okay, I want to hit on 3. Can you hear me clearly? Because I'm driving.
Yeah, you good. You good.
Okay.
You good.
First of all, you said, I want to go to the corporate thing.
Okay.
We need people to have actual skills. There's not enough office seats in corporate America to even think that's the mountaintop. Working in corporate America is not, I reached Mount Kilimanjaro. That's the first thing. Now, kudos to you if you work in corporate America. But as a skilled individual, if you have tangible, hard skills, so I know if you're an educated person, then you know there's something called hard skills and soft skills. depending on the type of hard skills that you have, those are the type of skills that you can build on and build your own enterprise. So for a woman that would be educated or have her degrees, if she is with a man that has hard skills and he can build houses, he has those skills. If you have a business savvy mind, this is how you build together. You're able to take both of your guys' skills and put them together and make an enterprise. Secondly, as a woman, when you are you limiting yourself by thinking that you're comparing your degrees by the man, when I know men that don't have degrees that have multi-million-dollar businesses? Not saying that you shouldn't go to school, but when you have a business mind and you're savvy with your thinking, you're able to build together. First, and then secondly, Ebony, she's not any different. If she's only worth $2 to $3 million, I could be worth that in just simply real estate. I could have a full-time job where I'm making $60,000-$70,000 a year, but because I have great credit and I'm able to invest appropriately, I can have enough real estate where I have assets where I'm well worth over $3 million, but I don't have to go around telling everybody that. That's why I have a question with this people, period. Why do you think that your degrees is going to measure your success when my sister on paper is more educated than me, but I make more money than her? I think sometimes,
that's a good question. But see,
sometimes we need to really go back and think, how can I enterprise with my partner? I come from a family that are entrepreneurs, but we also know that you have to play the game, which means you might have to have a 9-to-5 job. What you're doing in your 40s and 50s is not what you're doing in your 20s and 30s. So as a man or a woman, when you're measuring what you're building, you have to go back and see when you started to build. So when you're 60 years old, you can have 6-7 pieces of property and be able to sell your property or liquidate what you need to liquidate so you can have a retirement plan, instead of always thinking about how do I compare to them on paper. How do you enterprise with your partner so you can build? And that is identifying their assets. So let me ask you this, and I'm going to be finished, Darrell.
Yeah, go ahead. Take your time.
As a man, I am in leadership, which means I have the ability to hire and fire, right?
Right.
I do that. I don't have to go around saying all this extra stuff, telling people what I'm doing, any of that. I hired my lover. Some men have a problem with that. When you're trying to enterprise economically, we have to have the ability to put in paperwork and social security numbers to get people hired so they can be able to have financial revenue. So me judging you and looking at you on a piece of paper, when you're into human resources, you'll notice, Darrell, because you're into this, paper doesn't always tell you the full story. So why would you use paper to judge a man or a woman when you need to learn how to identify a person's skills? Now, if you're just a lazy ass man, then you don't have the ambition to learn or build anything. And I think that's the problem. You just dealing with lazy ass Negroes. Period.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. The man that remodeled my bathroom in my basement, he's from Guatemala and he's like 5 foot, driving a big behind Ford F-250. He only 5 feet tall. How is it that this man got the ability to use his skills to make money? That's just all it is. You got to know how to make money. Period, point blank. However you do it is however you do it. You can't get caught up in, oh, well, I have 2 degrees, so I'm supposed to have someone that has a degree. Yeah, but what if they lack social skills? What if you went to school and you don't know how to communicate? You don't know how to transcend demographics.
Hey, what's going on, Dita? Can we have a conversation?
Y'all been talking for a long time. I'm about to get off. Dita Rail. They've been talking
Yeah,
for
go
a
ahead.
Hey,
long
what's up?
time.
How's everybody
It's
doing?
just this whole thing
Hold on, Bill.
me comparing.
Go ahead, baby.
They compare each other to their corporate America is not going to help us out as black people. You know why? Because you ain't building nothing. You need to build houses. You need to build cars. You need to be an engineer. You need to get your hands dirty and get in this ground and build these houses. Sitting behind the desk is not going to help us out. And that's all I got to say, Dita Rail.
You sound like a Barbara Builder. Sounds good.
All right, BMT, what's up, player?
So, listen, listen, y'all. We need both sides of it. I'm never gonna say we don't need corporate America because we need representation on all fronts. You're not gonna hear me say we don't need people that got degrees and them scuff at that, because at one time our degrees weren't respected. So I'm not gonna say something foolish like that. I'm not gonna say that hard skills are not needed, because when that was taken out of the black community or away from that of black base, that also hurt.
Well,
Both
hard
sides
skills
out.
is
Can I finish talking, ma'am?
well.
Can I finish talking?
No,
Thank
hard
you.
skills is engineering as well. Go be an engineer.
Listen. I'm actually a whole farmer.
Hold on,
I actually have businesses.
Finish, Eyes.
Honestly, Dita
Hold on, Eyes.
Listen. I'm not here. This is not a debate. I'm here on my brother's channel.
Yeah, I've been knowing Dita Rail for a long time too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now the thing about it is this. This comes down strictly to preference. This comes strictly down to preference. He who controls the resources gets to control that of the preference of who's chosen and who's not chosen. It's the have and have-nots argument. I've seen women who are nurses that choose Negroes that do not have the same level of equivalency. I've seen men that literally work doing stocks and broker and real estate. They choose girls that just work at Walmart. So
don't you think that's the
excuse me, hold on. Listen. I'm just telling you the reality.
Okay.
Telling you the reality how this thing has been going down and working. Some men are fine working in the background while their woman is the brains of the outfit, making calls or listen, hey baby, if we can get this money up, I can invest it in X, Y, and Z. Some men do not mind saying, okay, cool. While other guys say, hey baby, let's take this money, take $1,100 and flip it. Like, everybody's not going to be a boss. We got to stop telling people, be a boss, be an owner, this and that. Listen, sometimes having a good job, having a proper education, and having a stable lifestyle.
I agree with you.
Excuse me. And the problem is, the simple things are being overlooked and not respected. Understand? Like, and I'm seeing that where these fallacies, inconsistencies are going out, where we're telling, find a boss, find this, or I need a bad bitch and all that stuff. Stop it, man. Like, we gotta stop beating at these illogical talking points. This is why you're hearing the IG model versus the incel. This is why you're hearing all these nuances, because they're not fitting in that of reality. They're not actually hitting on that of consistency. Now you're hearing, okay, so a woman said, I want the bus driver. I don't want the bus driver, I want the owner. But we got a news flash. That was the same rhetoric of BS being echoed about high value. Now we got this high value conversation, and a lot of young black men say, damn, I'll never become high value. What the hell? So y'all done walked me off a cliff, because now they're getting these high value conversations, and most men don't even know what it means to be high value, because they're not even tapped into a network where they actually can plug people in. Same thing for a lot of women, being told the superficial, I gotta be this, I gotta be that, but they don't even know how to upkeep of a home. They don't even know the upkeep of how to deal with a man or how to properly know what is actually a good man or that of a man that literally is using them. So we're seeing these things go down in real time. Most young people these days don't even really get married. They just shack up. Hey, you work there? Okay, cool. You at Amazon? Cool. Where you going? Oh shit, I'm getting my nursing, but right now I'm at T-Mobile.
Can I
We'll make
speak
it work until somebody gets something going. I'm seeing a lot of young people do that. I talk to bartender girls who work 2 to 3 jobs. I'm talking to brothers who got a side hustle. I don't have to guess these things. I'm living it real time.
Okay,
And the problem is that it's a struggle for resources. We literally were listening to 2 failed women. One had 3 failed marriages, and another woman that literally she done failed with her white man and another man, and now they're talking about marriage. And yet this is always going on over and over. The people who are not consistent with this lifestyle are the ones trying to dictate how the lifestyle should go. Versus that of people who are actually in the fray of actually doing this type of thing. And when they start talking about it, it's a different story. And so this is why you're seeing this about, this is why you're seeing, but I like I said, you're seeing this with a lot of men. It's no secret. A lot of men, they are starting to somewhat now go into school more often. But at one point when jobs were being pulled and withheld, they were having to find other means and furloughed out. Okay. While the system had allowed, and we were actually starting to push for Black women to go to school. But a lot of Black daughters at one time were pulled out of school and say, take care of the home. The mother said, no, I want my babies to go to school. I want my kids to go to school. Now the sentiment is it's like a lopsided. We're trying to play catch up. Say now we need the boys in school too. We need the girls to also be supportive in school. You can have a balance. That's not properly being implemented on have a proper balanced trajectory of how to build. It's like this competition thing of hearing that, but I'm never going to tell a woman that, hey, because you got an education,
you guys, is this
you should. Excuse me.
Is this conversational or do y'all do?
Well, I literally sat there and listened to a woman just speak. I waited my turn properly.
Yeah, she interrupted me, so I didn't even get to answer the brother's question. But
I don't know who interrupted you.
Talk for like 10 minutes and then.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I let people I like it to be interchangeable, but it kind of, because he did kind of wait, I kind of let him get everything. I do want people to get their thoughts out, but this isn't interchangeable.
Okay, so if there's something that you want to say, go ahead. I sat there quietly and listened.
Oh, I just when I talk, I just kind of pause a little bit, give everybody else a chance.
No, what he was saying basically, D. Darrell, are we going in order? That's all, I guess, pretty much. Because now we got low cast. Is that what we doing, or is there a time limit? That's what I'm asking, or she's asking.
I don't like to give time limits. I like it to be conversational, but I do understand that people waited to get their thoughts out. So I want BMT to get his thoughts out. But we are, I do want to have a place where we can ask questions and still let you talk. Okay. We don't want it to be where just
I'll finish it out.
Going on and on.
I'll finish it out. But the main thing about it is the reason why this space and a lot of this coaching and dating and all these philosophies are failing because they're not interchangeable. They're not attached to any type of surrealism. They're more so on a trauma bond system. And they don't tell that of the intricacies between that of a man or woman. It's more so of a trauma bond withhold exchange. That's why when I asked the conversation before about show me the natural couple that is on here showcasing that of a logical relationship and family, it was never shown. Because it cannot be shown because it will batter or it would actually go against that of how men and women are actually changing the hands. And so that's why I'm saying I'm passing it on. But the Ebony K thing, the Ebony K and Ayala, that was an agenda for selling a marketing ploy. You understand? That was an agenda marketing ploy. Women and the Black men red pillars were like, we hate Ayala. Now all of a sudden Ayala's there saving Christ. Women Ebony K was being rooted as the ghost says, we love it. You're showing it to the men. Oh my God, I can't believe you said that about my boyfriend. Like, come on, man. Like, y'all gotta know when the fools and the donkeys are screaming in the goddamn background. Like I said, you can't take none of this serious. But yeah, I understand. It's just, this is a preference conversation. This is not an actual how people are actually maneuvering in real time 2023. But yeah, go ahead, ma'am.
Yes,
I'm ramping.
I'm going to allow May to ask a question or make a statement, then we're going to go to Lowcast.
Okay, sure. D. Darrell, I'm going to answer your question you asked me before. You were asking a woman who is educated, what exactly is the criteria? And you were right when you say that there's no structure. There's actually no formula to it. I think all I can liken it to is the idea that when someone applies for a job, they applied for that job knowing that there's a minimum basic requirement for education. I personally believe that educated women are looking for a starting point. I want most of the men that I'm dating to probably be at the same level I am educationally. That's the ideal. That's the preference. Doesn't mean you're going to get it, but that's what you want. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And it's not about counting your degrees, where you graduated from. It's not that technical. It's just saying that we're likely going to have a lot in common. We're both going to be professionals. We can socialize among the same group, and we have a common background, hopefully. Those are the ideas. And then from there, we start looking at character. We start from there. That's ideally what sisters are trying to do. But what happens is sometimes, and I'm going to give myself as an example, I tried just to, go and date, and it was horrible. There was a guy who was a lawyer, Juris Doctorate, all of this, and he looks great on paper. We meet in person, horrible, old, frumpy, weirdo, this, that. Oh, no, it was just horrible, right? It didn't work. And so that happens too. So sisters might meet that guy who looks good on paper, and then you realize, you know what? The guy who has that consistent job working down at the so-and-so, he's looking real good to me. Because this Negro over here with all his degrees, he ain't looking too hot. I can't commit to that. I'm not feeling that. So that happens. And I just want to say this last statement so that, the brother can say what he want to say. But we are not all the same. And do not believe there are men who are educated. They may want an educated and intelligent Black woman beside them. There's nothing wrong with that. Or like you said, he might want the Walmart chick, a simple girl. There's no formula. We're humans, but we are not all the same. And we don't have to force each other to pretend that things don't matter. If they matter to you, then they matter. They may not matter to the next person. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. That's it.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna go to Lowcast. I'm gonna respond after he speaks. But go ahead, Lowcast.
Actually, I'm gonna have to pass on this one. May kind of pointed out what I wanted to say, so I'm good. I'm good.
Come on, man. You waited a long time to wait again.
Here's my thing. Here's another one then. My thing is that us as Black Americans currently in our current state, I'm talking about right now, is any of the ideas that we like to shoot around for dating options and dating perspectives, is it really feasible based on where we are right now?
Anybody want to tackle that?
Yeah, it is. It is feasible. Man.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that as a group, we can't base our mating choices on the influences of people outside of our community. I think we need to formulate our own value system and criteria without it having an influence of what society tells you should have and what what type of person you should meet and what they should have and what they, as far as status, education. To me, it's an individualized task. But what one woman wants is going to be different from what another woman wants.
Right.
Well, I feel like for us as Black people, it should be something that's independent for us, not necessarily reflective of what this country tells us you should be looking for. That's just my position.
I would say you are hearing people speak about it, but they can't speak for who you are as the individual. That's why I said the conversations that happen are based on preference, or some people are telling from their issue of trauma. You'll have one dude, I'll never deal with that bitch again, but then he's still sleeping and living at the same house that he complaining about. You have it with some women like, you know what, I can't stand that type of man, but then that's the man that she's always still picking. Like I'm trying to tell y'all, man, like you after a while you start learning and hearing that of the patterns of certain people versus some people say, you know what, that happened. We got a divorce, we moved on, we raised our kids, and I got remarried. Oh man, I wouldn't have done that. No, dude, like I want a family. I'm okay with that. Like that's what I'm saying. Like you can't tell somebody their condition. But I know a lot of people who had a divorce and got remarried, like within like the next year or the year after that. Like, and they'll say, I'll never do that. But you're not that person. That's them. Same thing for a woman. I know some women like, damn. So what you do, sis? Oh shoot, well, you know, he drives for sanitation. What? Girl, why would you date him? Because he makes me happy. He laughs. I laugh around him. He lightens.
Darrell, can I go next? I'm sorry.
So,
I'm sorry, BMT. Can I go next when he's done?
yeah, you can. Yeah, like I said, I'm just saying, like, you can't tell somebody what's their choice or what they choose on their depth of what makes them happy. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, bro.
All right, May, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Okay, cool. Okay, so check this out, D. Darrell. Eyes isn't here. I wish she was still up here. May is up here. So I'm gonna ask you, May, with all honesty, and you let me know and I'll give you my response. Can we use, because it was used with eyes, you used it second. I was gonna come in third right behind you with the whole like when you filling out an application, you know, for a job. Do you think that's a good example? Not in a good or bad way. I'm just asking. Do you think that would be a good example? And I'll tell you why I'm asking. In your opinion.
I only think it's a good example because it gives you an idea of how women who have an education and they care about their man being educated, that's kind of how they're looking at it. A minimum requirement is X, Y, and Z. Yeah. So
okay. Okay. So now I'm gonna come in. Thank you for that. Thank you for your answer. Reason why I was asking, because I was thinking about it and analyzing when Lowcast was speaking, BMT was speaking. The part about an application, and that's even with the men, women do it as well. When you're filling out an application for this potential job that you're looking for, the employer is looking at you. Like they usually ask you, if it's not done online, the old school way on paper, tell me a little bit about yourself, like an interview. You get what I'm saying? Like an interview. We going old school, man.
Yeah,
and it's like you giving your interview, you doing this and any other, and in your heart, you really, 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 really want this job. You telling the employer, I don't care, black, white, whatever. I'm not even tripping about the nationality or the background. It's just you're trying to give a good impression to this employer, let alone the money you could possibly be making. And you only got, it's only like so many positions, maybe two or one, just one opening. But you can't play yourself because you might not even be the lucky candidate. And he doesn't have to tell you that, because he could have somebody who just walked out the door or he just spoke to on the phone. You would never know it. You get me, May? Yeah. So it's like, wow, this is crazy. But on the flip side, once you get in the door, there's cases where that employer is giving you carte blanche, everything. You getting the benefits, you getting not no 60, 90 day thing. You get what I'm saying? You know how it goes. You got to wait 60, 90 days. Them days, those are days of the past. Nowadays, because I'm doing a comparison with the whole relationship or the dating thing, some men, like the employers, are putting everything out on the table, even though they should be venting you like an application. But some are getting not played, but they're putting everything out there. I'll give you the word. I'll do this and the other. I'm not talking about simping. They literally are believing in you as a woman on this dating thing that you might possibly could be the one, because it's sounding good and the feelings. That's why I was asking you, can you do a comparison? I guess you could, but that's where I'm coming from, not the degrees. I get where you coming from, May, but I'm literally going with it with a literal example of looking for a job and how men put themselves out there. And on the other kicker, the part that's a kicker is when the women, once they get everything they got and want, they are looking, which is okay. They searching for something else. Well, right across the street, I got this employer making good money, 6 figures, but I could be making $1 million over there, and probably got an offer. Not to say that the women and I'm talking about the women, are never looking. Get what I'm saying, May? The women are putting themselves out there, but the men are putting themselves out there just as much. And it's like you're looking at it on both ends. You know what I mean? It's a chance that you're taking on both sides.
Yeah,
Because
yes.
if it doesn't work out, she could always quit and leave. And now you notice how there's always papers you got to fill out and sign and stuff. Or not just that, the kicker. I'm using the job example, like with a relationship, she might be not like Tyrese, be ready to sue for some reason or something. And I'm not talking about I'm doing a comparison of both because I'm looking at the job and relationships. It's like it's hard. If we could read minds, May, I don't know if we'd be in trouble, but it would be amazing. It would. I think we wouldn't have to go through as much if we could only read minds, but we can't. It's the chances that we're taking. It's just like it's never good enough. Or if it is good enough, then you're still not happy, and that could be for the men as well. It's like we're in a crossroads, May, right now. We're trying to see, are we getting more bang for the buck if we hire you or if we take you under our wing? And women are like, well, I got this and I got that. Why don't you want me? It's crazy, May. And that's for the men on the panel as well. I'm looking at both ends when it comes to our people, where this is wild. One, you can't get this, you can't get that. But if you get this and get that, even with the degrees, still not good enough. And then at the end of the day, you're looking back in time and saying, what went wrong? Where did I go wrong? Did I go to school too much? Was it too many degrees? Or if I got the degrees, why couldn't I find that man that could be equal or even more?
You know
I don't
what?
know, May.
I agree with you.
Yes.
I see the chaos you're talking about, and I think a lot of times, and I know women might get mad with me, but I think women are still shopping around even once we have accepted the application.
I mean,
women are always looking for resources and opportunities. So sometimes we accept the application with a contingency that we don't explain. You gonna work out until I find a better worker with more experience, but or your qualifications. And I think that part is definitely unfair to men. And I think that's one of the breakdowns that we do have in the Black community is a lot of times we need to just say no and mean it. Just no. And unfortunately, you see how ashamed women are when they say no. We already know it's not going to work out because we don't have enough in common. And when women say, I can't take that, I don't like that, you got 2 kids, I don't want that. Oh, you stuck up, you a snob, you snooty, you a bitch, da da da. No, she's telling you how it's going to end if y'all end up together. Accept that. When people tell you who they are, believe them. But everybody want to shame Black women into
Right.
accepting stuff they don't like. So then
Right.
they say, well, hell, I'll ride this train till the better one comes along.
So
we
look
gotta
at
get
you,
to the point
May.
where
Look at
we
this.
gonna be
Hold on,
honest and
BMT.
where we
Look at
gonna
what
be
May just said.
where
Hold on,
we
May.
gonna be honest and real.
Right,
Go
May.
ahead.
Now look at
Go
what
ahead.
you just said with your example with the dating. It was total. It was like, it didn't work out. Now take your example. Look at you. Not that we have to be equal because we're not. We need to be like that. Because right off the bat, you was like, you know what? Everything on paper, this and the other, had the degrees, had the career, had it going on paper. When it came to real life, in person, nada. Us men have to be like that. No matter how good she on some like 100%, a 9, 10, 8 scale, sit back and say, you know what? Instead of hiring you, I got to be honest with myself. I'm going to have to decline. You know what I mean? Before you even walk in the door, we're using that example of, applications, right?
Yeah.
No, it's not going to work, May. So with you, how you say it, and I will give you that, we have to be 100% and be like, you know what, no matter how good, I'm already putting the vision in my head, how we could be walking down the red carpet, all the thing, bells and whistles, dun, 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 the marriage thing, all of that, before you've been putting the cart before the horse. We have to be honest. If it ain't going to work, walk away. Don't even go there. Yeah.
Right. I think the thing about it is this, and y'all both bring up good points, because that is going on. And I spoke about that for Mother's Day, why a lot of mothers don't trust men, because if you just saying that, yeah, I'm gonna be there and I'm gonna rock with you, but you're just trying to fuck on them, but you're not actually trying to build a family, then you see what I'm saying? Like you said, you was gonna actually apply to be a family man, but you just want to access, which you thought I'll be easy. When you looked at a situation, same thing as a woman saying, "Oh, I want this man that got this and that," but then they'll say, "Well, you don't spend time with me. You don't actually do things with the children," and I've seen that happen plenty of times. I mean, me being ex-military, I know. I watched many men lose their families because we spend more time abroad, spend more time out there doing X, Y, and Z. So by the time you do come back into the home or back into the certain lifestyle, you're a foreigner. the same garnishment of respect isn't there. And so I always try to tell a lot of men and women, you can't just tackle the relationship aspect with I have this position or I have this amount of money, because that will play you. That will play you. You're just tricking for a family, versus that of actual building the centerfold blocks towards having something that is more fortified around you. You know what I'm saying? And it has to be a give and take. You know, a lot of guys will give, right? But they're afraid to ask the woman because they know that, well, if you as a man, you ask this of me, then you ain't ready to have me as you ain't a real man. No, as a man, he should have things required of you that he should ask, because he's looking at you as being his mate, his partner. Same thing as
What kind of stuff should he be asking for from a woman?
well, the things he should be asking for, one is time, commitment, investment. Men want a woman that invests into them. It has to be a partnership.
Hold on. But BMT, you do understand that what May is trying to point out is that what she sees as being compatible.
Okay, that's her. Keyword. Hold on. Her. Did you see that sentence? What she sees. For me as a married man, I'm telling you
from her perspective.
Okay, you're right, and I'm telling you from my perspective, Locas. Okay, so my perspective of what I tell other men: if your mate is not investing in you and you're not investing in your mate, why are y'all playing games? Then that's the thing about it. Like, everybody talks about this ride or die.
Investment. When you say the word investment, I'm trying to figure out when you say.
Okay, so when I say investment,
what are you talking about?
Okay, so when I say investment, I'm talking about time, equity of education. We're teaching each other. We're also talking about that of building of our own micro community. In other words, that means we have to be putting into each other different facets of a relationship of a man and a wife, husband and a wife. If I'm building you up,
nothing crazy yet. You ain't said nothing crazy yet. Go ahead.
You said what?
You ain't said nothing crazy yet. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I've been doing it for a long time. and so the thing about it is, if you're not doing these things with each other, then you're going to start falling short. You're going to start. I've seen brothers. They paid for the wife, but then they get mad when she said, "Well, I got what I need, and I found a better contractual deal." And I'm like, "Well, brother, what did you expect? You was renting the wife. You was renting her." And we've seen that time and time again, Darrell, versus that of women that feel vitriol when they're like, damn, I done let this man in my home. I done help build him up, X, Y, and Z. And I said, well, sis, what did you get out of that man? Well, I did this and that. No. Answer me. What did you get out of that man? What did he do to build you from your situation you were from point A to point Z? Where was he taking you? Where was he helping you get to? Well, I'm just trying to build them. Well, if you got to build them, baby, well, you should have left them at the factory. Y'all should have been building each other. And that's the thing about it is, if you're not there to actually build upon each other, because a lot of people want the bragging right to say, look at my kingdom. I don't have a problem saying when it's time to eat, my children eat first, because I built upon a legacy. My woman doesn't have a problem saying our legacy comes first. Baby, how you doing? Hey, I got you some lunch. Did you eat? I'll ask her, did she eat? Well, I just got you lunch. Well, then you need to eat too. See what I'm saying? Because that's the other half of me. If she's not thriving, how am I thriving? If she's busted down, but I'm walking around like I'm sunshine and rain, and see, that's what people got it fucked up at. People don't talk about the characteristics of building each other. What can you do for me, nigga?
I think what you're saying sounds like basic marriage to me. It doesn't sound like anything strange. Building each other up, in my opinion, is something that you naturally do when you're actually with somebody. Like, you're dedicated and you're not going nowhere. All of these things that you're describing is taking care of each other and stuff. It's nothing strange about that. But, I tell you, in my personal opinion, where I would direct the energy a little bit more, and I would criticize the Black community, I think that we think we're supposed to build. And what we end up doing is being old. All of us, right? We end up being 30, 40, and older. And what happens is we're not supposed to discriminate against age and all that stuff or weaponize it. But reality is, we have a lot of baggage. You know what I'm saying? Got a lot of baggage, a lot of stuff that people have been through, issues. You're carrying into, child support. You're carrying children into a relationship. You're carrying bad debt. We need to be getting married in our early 20s. That's part of our problem. That's my thought. What do y'all think?
That's interesting. I propose what I pretty much teach with my dating coaching is that I feel like between the ages of 18 to 23, 24 should be a time of self-development, education, career. And I propose people starting to become marriage-minded by their mid to late 20s, between 25, 24, and 30. That's the range that I look at, Any thoughts from anybody else?
D. Durrell, can I go?
No, I'm for that, D. Darrell. Like that's what I mean by investment. Like, listen, man. Like, investment ain't nothing. And I usually people be driving it back into the penis control and the twerking and like that's investment. Like, there's different levels to the investment. Like, like my girl going to her courses for medical, her clinicals, right? I was giving her gas money. You know what I'm saying? Well, yeah, I had to go to work, but I said, yo, your tank is on like almost E. Yeah, but I haven't got my stipend. Man, I took her car to the gas station to put some gas in it. Yeah, I had some niggas be like, whoa, Joe, why you doing that? I said, that's my girl, bro. Like, she got to get to school. But in the same sense, I would see whenever I go to sleep and wake up to go to work, she had my lunch ready. You feel me? Like, she had me lunches and stuff. She, my clothes were getting washed up. We were helping each other along our process to where we are today. You feel me? Like, we were going to church. We were doing different other things. Like, hey, like, I got to go see my grandma. And I would sit there and she would tell me her issues that she had going on internally. Some people, the thing sad about it, I know people who've been dating for years and they still haven't told their mates internally the issue that they got going on, but they find out the hard way. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like some people just, I don't think they really want to get in too deep with that person that they're dealing with in this day and age. You know what I'm saying?
I just want to make a comment
Can I go? Oh,
go ahead.
right.
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Let me throw this at you, May, and at you, D. Darrell. I do agree. I agree. Depending on everybody's individual past from school, high school, all of that. I do agree at a younger age, not to put themselves, because I think earlier I mentioned between a crossroad and what we're dealing with this culture where it's like just being out there along with social media, just being with catch it, May, anybody, everybody, just sleeping around.
Exactly.
That ain't the way to go. It's something that's missing, D. Darrell, even for yourself with what you do in therapy, May, how you get down, even you, BMT, myself. It's just an observation. I believe that would have been the way to go, because you got cats right now when they giving examples like that one, the ones that be in school. I'm talking about the young ladies that be in school, high school still, and they be in the cars, the Cadillacs, whatever, driving around the school where it's like, hold on. That ain't cool, for one. And I'm not talking about on the P word, the predatory thing. I'm not going there. I'm saying that one young woman has her whole life before her, hopefully where she can find a young man and they work out, be compatible, and get married and do their thing. I'm going there, catch it, May, to where you got the old dogs. That's why I said I'm agreeing with at a young age, get on that. You got these old cats and what's been taught out there, catch it, D. Darrell. You in your 60s and 70s trying to get you a 20-year-old, you know what I mean? Some young buck. That ain't right. So it's like, what's been lost in the sauce? What, making it or thinking that you could get somebody when you should have been even at your old age, not y'all up here on the panel, at your old age, if you haven't already, going for what you know at a young age and living your best life. Because something that you mentioned, May, with all this building, then you old. You know what I mean? Time ain't waiting for nobody. Then you look back and reflect, what was I doing in my life? And I'm not putting nobody on the spot, married or not. What was I doing? Having fun, partying. Some of us, I ain't saying all, we've done it. And then by the time we looked up, time has done passed us by. Then we out there on the speed dating, on the dating scene.
Yep.
And you think back to yourself,
Yep.
woo, time is short, life is short. Because either two things, well, not two things. We hadn't been taught, we hadn't been shown somewhere in there when we wanted better for ourselves and we could have maybe, and now catch it, May, we'll look at examples like you could look at maybe at you, D. Darrell, and be like, wow, been married for how long? 25, 20, 30 years? We got our parents, some of our parents, May, old school, been married forever. You think to yourself, how did they do it? How possibly? Somehow. Myself, May, I'm old school. I commend those. I congratulate, celebrate those marriages that have been around forever. And they hadn't had to get out there like that. Because in reflection, when you look back, how we living right now, May, in 2023, in some cases, it ain't even worth it. You feel me? That's how bad it's gotten. And then you think to yourself, I might as well look at D. Darrell before May, BMT, everybody came on. There was other brother was here, Renaissance Man. When you focus on yourself, when you focus on that, when the dating scene is kind of like shaky, especially now, you have no choice. Look at May, to focus on doing better and being better. It makes no sense to step to the plate, even with you, May, where you done built yourself up, got the credentials, regardless of the dating thing, as men, black men, and be like, how dare I step to a May? I don't care if it's eyes, Mays, anyone who's gotten there and they out there, and you think to yourself, I got some nerve. I shouldn't have to call you out your name, May, knowing that I'm not even the one for you, not even compatible, or not even on your level. So I'm speaking, I can't even speak for the women. I could be on that, but I'm not. Us as men, we literally have to level up. And that's why I told you, D. Darrell, that was kind of like a eye opener with the Ebony Williams, regardless if she doubled down, wasn't honest, this and the other, to tell us, because us as men, some of us, okay, BMT, catch it, we're not being honest. We're not.
Right.
And that's why the women are looking as if like, how, what? Are you serious? You in word, please. You know, you think to yourself, well, wait a minute, I put on deodorant and my breath don't stink. What could it be? No, because today's world, it takes, some cases it takes one. Some cases it takes two as far as resources, bringing home the bacon. Them days is gone when it's just one. But at the same time, are you spending the time? Are you compatible? Are you have any integrity? The qualities is what I'm getting at, D. Darrell.
Right.
That's what's missing. You get what I'm saying?
You're full. No, full.
You got it.
I hear you. Like I'm telling you right now. Like that's what I'm saying, dude. Like I try to tell a lot of dudes, like try taking her out to like just go for a walk without having to spend your money and just talk. What? Like yeah, bro. Like don't. If you can't do a whole day without spending money, there's a problem. Like y'all don't have no conversations. Y'all don't talk about anything. Like a lot of people don't know what to do. If there ain't no sexual interaction going on, they don't know how to properly have the conversation. And I'm telling y'all right now, I've been on the floor mattress struggle relationship. I've been there, bro. I done dealt and chased it after those type of honeys all throughout my young years. After a while, I got tired on my side. My wife got tired on her side. She's like, yo, I'm tired of these niggas that always want to bum off of me. Like after a while, we wanted better, and we started talking about our flaws. And listen, I hear this time and time again. Well, we boyfriend, girlfriend. That's typically husband and wife. I'm sure D. Darrell done heard that shit plenty of time. I'm sure May. Then they got this new term for that ain't my wife. That's my wifey. That's not my that's not my husband. That's bae. Like that's what they call marital couples these days. Like y'all are like nigga marriages or Negro marriages, whatever the kind of damn demonic level of relationship these are now, and they'll call that full-on relationship, but because they're afraid of, damn, if I actually get locked with this person, I'm screwed. I'm done. Like I can't actually go to full. This is why when you start seeing it, like a lot of people, like I've seen people say the good game, like we're going to be together, and then then we hear about the pregnancy, nigga gone, or the dude, his job didn't fall flat, or he hasn't gotten a job yet, she out. Like it's always the good talk until the situations start happening. And this is why I always tell people both sides of the party for exactly what you're saying. Get your shit together first. Actually start building together, so that way y'all can start building y'all house if y'all are compatible or not. If y'all not, y'all don't lose nothing. You go your way, I go my way. I got mine together. I got my job. You got your career. be at peace. But nowadays, nah, man,
All right,
nah,
let
man.
me let May. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to break in and say right there, you made a good point that you got these people that are coming together and they're not even in a situation where they need to be even talking to somebody. That's part of the problem too. We need to have criteria. Personally, we need to have criteria and say to them, say to ourselves, as a woman, am I even in a position where I even need to be talking to somebody? So, like, for example, if you are in a situation as a grown man where you can't even afford and be independent on your own, why are you talking to any women? You see what I mean? There's too much of that in our community. People who are broken, they don't have basic things that an adult should have. They're not adulting. And they think
Right.
they're supposed to be out here talking to somebody. You're not qualified to have a relationship when you can't pay your bills, you don't have a car, you don't have some of the basic things an adult, forget about male or female, an adult should have independence. And that's
Right.
part of the problem. I don't want to sign up for somebody who I got to carry any weight for. I'm not interested in that. So that's part of the problem. But I do believe that if we were in our, say, 23, 24 years old, I think we can build together in that place because we're both young and we're both malleable. But what we got is a whole bunch of 35 plus people over here trying to play catch up. And it looks crazy. It looks really,
It
really
really
crazy.
does. It really does. Go ahead, brother. Somebody want to say something?
I'll speak, D. Darrell. I agree, and that's why it's going in circles, man. If you notice, it's going in circles
Yeah.
on top of circles. Um, not just the conversation. Just look at D. Darrell. We got YouTube, we got the YouTube streets, Black sector, and then we got real life. Even though we look back at it to where it's like, catch it, man. YouTube BMT. Oh, it's just entertainment. When you really look at it, what's sad about it, the same thing that's look at D. Darrell that's being spilled out there, spewed out there, as they would say. It's literally real life. It's cats literally living that way. You know how that you think to yourself, whatever comes out of certain individuals' mouths, you'll say to yourself, this can't be how this person is in real life. But catch it, man. They really are. As far as when it comes to what we're speaking of, the dating thing and getting themselves right. When you look at it, you think to yourself, oh, I thought you was just playing. Nah, May, they're not. And that's why instead of jumping on the whole, the women thing, I was speaking as a man, man, black man first on the part of like, we have to be honest. Catch me, BMT. We have to be honest with ourselves. There's some women out there that notice this. This man might got this, and this. Six Figures got everything, y'all. Catch this real and listen, please. They don't have the time. You have the women that's like, you know what? That Skyping thing is cool, but it's old. But then it's the sacrifice. My man, he's paying the bills. He's doing everything. But I never see him. He's never home. If you're into that, if you're into that type of thing, the holidays. Remember the holidays. Never home for the holidays. Man ain't even military. Just that man is 6 figures, 7 figures, literally doing it. But he doesn't have the time for the woman. Then when he makes the time, he's treating her bad with an attitude. Not saying he's physically doing a domestic violence thing, and I got to be cautious with the words respectfully, D. Darrell, so I'll be careful with the words and terms. The men on their end is that like, you know what, this ain't working. So that's a sacrifice within themselves. Do they sacrifice and take a step down and let that go for the woman and his family? And I jumped ahead and I went there with the family before the dating part. So that's why I spoke of earlier. If you at that status, doing it, you have to be honest. That woman requires my time and attention. I might not be the person for her in comparison to the one, I'll throw it out there, Dusty or Bum, that's like, I got all the time in the world. Of course you do. All you do is lay on a couch and live in your mama's basement. You catch me, May? It's a catch 22, but it doesn't have to be. It can somehow equal out. It can, you know what I mean? You can hit that point. It's just going to take time. But the point is that in this time and day and time, it's where don't just pick anybody. Don't just choose anybody and put yourself out there like that, because time is not waiting and we're steady getting older. And when you look back, you'd be like, I spent all that time when I actually didn't take the time and I wasn't patient enough to go for what I know for the right one. Get me? Taking time, being patient, and not rushing. I gotta. Yeah, tomorrow's not promised. You know how that's thrown out in our face constantly. We get that, but it doesn't mean that you just gotta throw yourself out there. But when you throw yourself out there and choose the wrong one, who you gonna blame? You know what I mean? And you have to do that. And some of us don't. pointing fingers. At the end of the day, after so many tries and times, you got to look at yourself to be like, dang, because that one right there actually was a good one. Maybe it was me. Well, what about that one over there? No, that wasn't a good one. What about that one? That was so. What I'm saying is that it's the picky part, D-Darrell. It comes to a point on men's end, and maybe we should. And then maybe it's too much. It's like, when is it ever enough, May? Where it's like, you know what? I just can't hit that mark. But you could hit that mark. You just got to really do some self deflection.
Right,
and I ain't even a therapist.
Let me go to Brother Speaks. What's up,
Go
brother?
ahead.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, D-Darrell? Hey,
What's going on, man?
Oh, nothing much. Just listening to the conversation. The thing I get with the whole education versus skills, and you know, it's always one putting one above the other that I see in these conversations. It's like, well, you got to go to college. You got to go to college. Okay, what good is that college if you don't use that degree for what it's supposed to be? We have a lot of people who got degrees, but they work in minimum wage jobs because what they went there for they weren't even able to finish it, or they didn't use it to the way they were supposed to do it. You got some people who never went to college, maybe they didn't even have a high school education, graduate high school, but they're making a good amount of money. So I don't think education is everything. You have to have both, my opinion. You do have to have both. You have to have the education, but you also have to have the skills to be able to use that education, whatever education you have, to the best of your ability. But as far as like the whole, well, I do agree with the whole, we do need to be equally yoked in the sense of can I vibe with you as a person? I may not care about a woman's education more so than can I vibe with you? Can we talk? Can we have an interesting conversation? And you don't need a college degree to do that. But if I'm college education, it would be nice if someone has a college education. But if not, there's other interests that we can have and we can talk on and build on. So, you know, like I was going to be a teacher. My ex-wife was going to be a nurse. But we vibed on the fact that we could still have conversations that have nothing to do with education. It's about other things, life in general. And I think that's part that's missing, is that we're not equally yoked. And it doesn't mean necessarily education. Just can we talk? Can we have interesting conversations and have the core values that we have? And I think that's what's missing. That's why, you know, it's like the education part, when women push that, it's like, okay.
D-Darrell, can I say something to the brother that just spoke?
Yeah, go ahead. You all have the floor. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me throw this in at you, brother. This is just a question. I know I did it with May and D-Darrell earlier with the questioning thing. Now it's your turn. What's wrong with, and he was just up here, and I like the name that he has. I love that name. He was just up here, D-Darrell, Renaissance 2008.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna use
Man.
Yeah, Renaissance Man. Just that. Take off the 2008. You can make it 2023. Renaissance Man. Why can't we, brother, come in the door, not Superman, not perfect, but somewhat like Renaissance Man? Because once again, with May still being up here, if Eyes was up here, it doesn't matter, but I got a woman up here, that's just as good. Why can't we come in the door like that? Because there's something missing. Because you mentioned conversations that where it doesn't have to always be on education, and I get that. But why can't we have a conversation across the board? Because if we have that woman that's educated, she might not know everything, just maybe in her field. But I kid you not, I bet money she ain't dumb. You're not talking to no dummy, and I don't think you would prefer a dummy. So as men, look at D-Darrell, catch it, as the leaders, we should be that man, a Renaissance man. So why can't we not be a Renaissance man, brother, and teach, know every subject, just about topic, and maybe something she can learn? Why can't we do that? Doesn't have to be on education. Why can't we be Renaissance men? That's my question to you. Or start trying to be that, at least seek that.
Well, I do.
No, D-Darrell, the brother right here. Not you, D-Darrell. Him, not you. I got you, D-Darrell. This brother that just came up.
As as far as like know everything.
Well, not everything. You get what I'm saying. Having a conversation that's going to pique her interest, keep her mind just, you know what? This guy, something about this guy. What separates you from all the others? That's why I mentioned Renaissance Man. Like, I'm asking you what's missing, because obviously there's something missing.
I think again, it should be naturally you. She should have interest in you naturally already.
But you have to be able to keep her interest. She's gonna be. That's a natural thing. When you naturally, we on the panel. We ain't all cammed up. She can only go out. I'm going with you, May. Our voices don't know our background. Nothing. There's got to be something, and that's with most of the women. When it comes to this shooting mating thing, that piques their interest. That keeps their interest, even if it's going out to dinner, going for a walk in the park. There's something, and even after that, brother, we have to continue to try to keep their interest. If we were just dating, starting out from day one dating. What's going to keep that fire lit, that candle lit? That's why I'm asking you that, because it can't just be just right off the top. Well, she just liked me just to like me. It's got to be more than that, because in 2023, obviously it's more, because there's too many divorces and separations based on all kinds of things. What's going to keep her? What is it, something I'm asking you, brother, that we could be doing? Not the women, because I'm not a woman. They got that covered. What can we do, brother? That's what I'm asking you.
Well, for me is the only thing I can say for men is, like you said, I think you said earlier, be honest with yourself. Know who you are as a person, what you like, what you don't like, what you're going to get into, what you're not going to get into, and find that woman that equals that or is understanding of that. That's what we should be doing. We're trying to we talk about this whole thing about game in the sense of we're trying to make this woman, we're trying to convince this woman to like us when we shouldn't be doing that. What we should be doing is, this is who I am, this is what I know. If you like it, great. If you don't, great. But I'm not trying to change myself to be what this woman want me to be. I have to be who I am. A lot of guys, because the women is everything, they try to play up to what this woman want when it's not naturally them. If it's not naturally you, yes, it's going to fail. These relationships fail because the man was trying to be something that she wanted him to be, and not being his genuine self. And so that woman is going to see that, and then she feel betrayed because, wait a minute, I thought you were this, but you're really this. So,
okay, but I'm confused, brother. I'm confused. The part that I did catch, you said we shouldn't have to change. We shouldn't have to change. I get that. So let me put that in a jar and I'll bring that out. You got the other part too, where it's like, but then I'm being something that I shouldn't be. In other words, I'm being dishonest. The part, so just to help out a little bit, because I was still trying to get that answer, but it's not hitting the mark. Not that you did or didn't. I was looking for a particular answer. I'll answer it for you. Where I'm going with this before you came on the panel is that, as far as men being honest, before we even, it's not about changing ourselves. Before I even May even mentioned it. If we're not in a position and we aren't there financially, resources, anything, we shouldn't even be dating. I shouldn't even be talking. Right. That said a lot. First of all, ain't about changing yourself. I'm still going to go back with the Ebony Williams and that interview or that back and forth. Not with this time DJ Envy, but when she firstly got asked that question. Once again, with honesty, I mentioned Renaissance. When that woman in that conversation, this, that, and the other, it's not about, once again, doing appeasing to her, but at the same time telling yourself, you know what? Before even going out there, I get it, accept you for who you are. That's a given. You want to be able to have that conversation. It's not on bragging rights, not all about yourself, but even if it came down to it, y'all out and about, a situation jump off. This goes back when BMT was up here. What do you do? What's your thing? Besides the degrees, I build houses, I hunt, I do this, I do that. If it came to going out at a movie, not even going out to a movie. Oh, something that's going to pique her interest. There's got to be something that she finds in you. You know how it's like, oh, it's his heart. He's loving. He's this. It's got to be something. You know, when we out and about, we're in a situation. Do you know he handled that? We're at this situation. We're at a gathering and this and the other. Do you know all the different things that he knew in the categories? This, the other? He's so educated. I'm not talking about college. He's so well-rounded. When I mentioned to you, Renaissance man, you want to be in a position, because Renaissance man was up here when he mentioned, remember this, D. Darrell? There's only so many positions. Within itself, you yourself, sir, you could be that guy if you were out there seeking or on the dating scene to be like, I'm going to be that guy. So whatever woman that is out there that I'm not going after or not going after, when I'm on the scene, they will naturally know. The minute I open my mouth and it comes down to it, that's the guy. That's what I'm coming at when I mention Renaissance, or even when you say what you say, give me Darrell. When I see that man, women know it. They got the six senses. All isn't lost when it comes to women. They know either they're gonna be like, you know what? Even women will step down. Like, look, like cats and dogs. They'll be like, I can't even handle that because that man got too much going on. And I don't mean just being out there dating this, that, and Tom, Dick, and Gary women. You know, just that man. I think I'm gonna have to step my game up. And by the time she looks up, that woman over there will be the one to get him, because all in all, he'll know what he's looking for. We got to know what we're looking for as well. Give me D. Darrell, but we got to be in position, once again, with Ebony Williams, to be like, you know what? How dare I, regardless of our opinions, come at her? You can. And I'm not saying you, and I got the same opinions too. If I ain't got myself together, if I ain't got myself straight across the board, not perfection, brother. I mean, to the point where it's like, you know what? When she chooses me, she picked a good thing, and vice versa. Like, I'm just throwing things at you that we gotta literally, D. Darrell, be honest with ourselves, and with May being up here as well. Go ahead.
I hear a lot as it involves relatability and compatibility from a social standpoint, as far as, you know, the day-to-day interaction, you know, common interests, things of that sort, the time, the flexibility that it takes, and so on. So I have a question for May. You there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Now, what is your experience with dating? Like, I think you told me you would not be interested with anyone less than I think you said an advanced degree, a master's degree, or graduate degree?
At least a bachelor's degree.
At least a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, have you had any experience with someone that did not have a bachelor's degree?
I'm the wrong one to ask. I really never dated. Yeah, I don't have any experience with dating, really. That one situation was a one-off. I haven't really dated.
Wait. That was it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, all right.
Yeah, I don't really know much about dating at all. I got married at 17, and I was married for about 5 years, and then I had that 3-month break, and then I ended up called myself trying to date, met that guy, it was horrible, and then I ended up meeting my current husband. I've been with for 16 years. So yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, well, let me ask you this then, since I'm pretty sure, although you may have not dated, there probably were guys that showed interest in you and attempted to have. Was there any situation where you kind of conversed with someone, but was then, you know, kind of once you converse, you know, you kind of, I'm not going to move forward, or, you know, kind of just meet someone just to see, or, you know, was there anything like that? You didn't necessarily date them, but you did at least interact with them before you decided, hey, I'm not going to.
That lawyer was the only one. That was the only one.
That was the only one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I can't.
Yeah, I'm the worst person when it comes to dating. I don't have any experience at all. I don't know nothing about it. My first marriage was an arranged marriage. I was Muslim, and this marriage, it was a courtship, like a family-based courtship. So I don't really subscribe to Western culture. So I'm the worst person to ask about modern dating.
Okay, I get it. Because see, what I wanted to know and what I was looking for, and you know, there are some women in the chat that, you know, I don't know, maybe they can answer the question, because the common issue that I have encountered when I speak to
highly educated women who made an attempt to date someone that was, let's say, not college educated or high school, or maybe they were tradesmen and things like that. They felt like they had to this is according to them. They felt like they had to dumb down their conversation, and they felt like there was not a lot of versatility in regards to the things that they talked about.
Well,
That's a common thing that I was so now. Look, that I mean, it can be seen as anecdotal because there's only so many women that I've talked to as it involves that, but that was a common
You're
issue.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And the reason why, I mean, you were asking me personally from my experience. I couldn't speak from it, but I have all my friends, literally all my friends are educated women, educated Black women, all of them. And that's my circle. So yeah, this is a common conversation among sisters. We always talk about that. You know, they'll try to, find the guy who's this and that, with this many degrees in this profession. And that comes with a lot of competition. So that's the problem there, especially when you're a little bit older. You're competing with other sisters that are nurses, that are lawyers, that are this, that are that. And it's tough. And we live in Atlanta, so you know how it is here. It's Black Mecca. So the competition among women for highly qualified, highly desirable, educated Black men is rough. It's really tough. So what happens is sisters start thinking, well, you know what? Date a brother who's not as educated, as highly desirable by other women, less competition. And I'm speaking Atlanta now. I don't know about everywhere else. But what happens is once they do that, then they have to have some concessions. And some of those concessions are that you guys are not necessarily compatible when it comes to social environments. He may or may not have an outfit to go to the NAACP Christmas dinner. You see what I'm saying? The galas, the this, the that, the professional life and the things that they are used to and that they do, he may not be able to vibe. You know what I'm saying? The conversation may be awkward. He may not know the social cues, the social norms. You give and sacrifice when you get outside of your social class or your professional class. You absolutely give up a lot. And even personally, you may want to just talk about, travel. I went here, I went there, I went to Rome. Where's Rome? I don't know where that is. Or you say, oh, something Barcelona. Well, what country is that? What continent? There's a missing piece. My aunt, she has 4 degrees. She's an educator, and she is married to a man who does public works. He works with his hands. Nicest guy. She's been married to him forever. But when I tell you, she sacrifices everything socially. Even for me, sometimes I'm a little bit embarrassed for her because they are not equally yoked, and he has the hardest time when it comes to social spaces. So yeah, you have to give up a lot if he's an extreme case. He's from the country. He's real country. But I don't think it has to be that big of a deal if the compatibility is there.
Right. Now, my thing is that as I look at this and in our community, I'm looking at it from a perspective of how productive this guy is. As far as he may not be the most educated, he may not be as cavalier as you would like him to be, but he is hardworking. He is consistent. He can be loyal. He's going to be faithful. That there are other things that. Do you think there's a sense of there's other things that can make up for those shortcomings? That if he's highly valued in other areas, it can make up for where he's lacking from that more of that. Because a lot of this is more about social, as far as status and how you're presented in the community per se.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I think that's the, like when he said Renaissance man, I totally got it. Because the degrees is very surface, and after a while, especially as a woman gets older, she starts caring about that a lot less, trust me. And I think that there are things like stability. Does this man have good decision making skills, problem solving skills? Can he fix some stuff? The things I actually need out of a husband are things that don't have anything to do with the degrees, to be honest with you. To be brutally honest, has nothing to do with formal education. We have plumbing problems, sink bust. My husband can fix it. He's smart. So I think for me, an intelligent man, it has nothing to do with degrees. extremely, and my husband is smart as fuck. And he's a problem solver. Those type of things mean everything to me. When you run in a household and something goes wrong, things don't work, and you have somebody who has mechanic hands, they know how to fix stuff, how to solve a problem, how to bring resources to the table, how to get things done. Women, at the end of the day, they want a man of action. You see what I'm saying? You want a man who has action
Right,
behind
right,
him.
right.
He's
Definitely,
smart
definitely.
and he's capable
Okay.
and he's
D.
resourceful.
Darrell,
Anybody have any
that's actually what I
response
meant.
to
I'm
that? Any
sorry. She
comments on
got
that
it.
to add into it?
Oh, D. Darrell, she got it. That's pretty much why I was asking the brother when it comes down to it. When he mentioned, and no disrespect to the brother who spoke, when he said there's so much you can talk about when it comes to degrees, absolutely. But when it comes down to it, that's exactly what I was referring to when I mentioned like when you out and about, something breaks, anything in a situation, you got to be the thinker. You got to be in a situation. If you're in a situation where it's like, you know what, don't jump off. You know what I mean? You literally, she's depending on you. She's depending on you because even that's just the dating phase. Imagine if it goes down further. You know what I mean? Where you got some cats that's like, we've been together 3 years, 5 years, 6. But what keeps them together? What is the secret? It's something about him, and it sure ain't a chances about that degree or that 6, 7 figures, you know, in the Ebony Williams thing. It's got to be more. The degrees is on that end, and with the women and the men, but the women, I get that. But May, you got it. It's got to be something within ourselves. It could probably be in your household too, as well. D. Darrell, you got your career, your thing going on, but on the other end, when you're not at your career, you know, at your job, at your company, doing your thing, what other skills do you have, D. Darrell? I'm sure you do, but there's something about your wife that piques her interest, that she loves the underwear you got on right now. You know, it's something about you that she just fell in love with. And that's where I'm going with that, May. And that's why I brought up the Renaissance man. It has to be something more
Right.
in 2023 that's going to keep, even though it ain't old school, that's going to keep it lit. In your case, May, 16 years, it's better than 2, 3, 5. 16 years is as an accomplishment. It ain't 30 or 40, but we can't, you know, regardless if we know or not,
Well,
it
I
ain't
ain't
none of our
going
business.
nowhere.
Yeah. But my point is, yeah, exactly. But the point is, it's commendable because it's 16 years. Whatever happened in it, people change, things happen. But at the same time, some can't even get off the ground to even get to that point because they starting literally from day one, not even to the point of getting married. You get me? So that's why I brought up the Renaissance. It's like women got things they got to work on. You all, we got things we got to work on. But we, along with the honesty, have to look at ourselves and be like, you know what? I gotta say, I bring nothing to the table, let alone the woman with that conversation. I bring nothing. And I ain't trying to bring nothing. And that's when you got to sit back and be like, you know, with the women, kindly, respectfully decline and say, you're not the one for me. And that brother as well saying that I'm not the one for you. And you like, that's cool. Then I need to, and if I do want that, I literally gonna have to level up and step my game up. Give me D. Darrell in May. I have to. If that's what I want for my future and getting older, I gotta do something. And knowing some of us, we got it. It's that thing of wanting to. We can, but some of us just don't. And you ain't doing it for you, for the women, you know, like May, or for them, for yourself, May, the women. We're doing it for ourselves. At the end of the day, we're doing it for ourselves. You gonna see it. You gonna notice. You notice with him all the things that he could do, what made
Oh
you
yeah.
fall in love with him.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Absolutely. You know, the thing I want to say too, I think there's some harsh realities here when it comes to the dating and mating. We have to be honest with ourselves, and I think we need to de-escalate. And when I say de-escalate, I remember when they had that show called Cribs that came on, remember? From MTV, where
Yeah, I remember that.
they would show you the rich people, and then they started having the car shows, and they
Right.
started showing you the Bugattis and all that stuff. A lot of us were satisfied with our damn Honda before we saw the car shows. We were satisfied with our humble homes before we started seeing the stars with the mansions. Okay. And all I'm saying is we've gotten into a culture that has escalated everybody to some kind of celebrity and unrealistic status. Like you said earlier, somebody said earlier, everybody that has this issue with the OnlyFans, OnlyFans and Instagram models. We got to pull back from that. None of that crap is real. It's just not real. These
Right.
are outliers, but people are measuring real people by that. We're seeing average everyday black men, and we're like, nah, he's not, Tay Diggs, or what are we comparing stuff to? We got to get back to liking the Honda. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying we need to be underachievers. I'm just saying this escalation and these high, crazy, unrealistic expectations. Even with women, I'm so sick of them, tired of them talking about if a woman ain't a size 8 and she ain't a baddie. Do you know how many regular, everyday women are walking around here beautiful as hell, size 12, size 14?
Right.
It doesn't make sense that every woman has to look like a model. These men need to scale these expectations down, and they running around here. They're not even a 10 on a scale, but they want a woman that's a 10. They're not even being realistic with themselves. I'm saying we need to de-escalate and start being more realistic. Start looking at people as substance. What are you actually about? What kind of family do you come from? What resources do you have? What qualities of love and compassion do you bring to the table? You see what I'm saying? We got to
Right,
get
definitely.
back to that. Every man talking about now he's a 6-figure man. No, the hell you not. Stop lying.
And May, and look at D Darrell. May, you mentioned about Atlanta, all the career driven and the career driven women out there in Atlanta, and I've only been out there twice. But another one I'm gonna throw on the table for you is D Darrell, DC. As far as career driven women, black women, career driven is DC. Beautiful place. Beautiful place.
Right,
A
right.
lot of a lot of look at me, beautiful career driven women that got it going on to the point. I'm sure degrees, masters, this anyone that you could think of, they got where you think to yourself, this place right here, oh my God, it's the spot. Atlanta, yeah, DC. If I had it like that, if I wanted to, DC would be the place when it comes to the beautiful women, the career, the scenery. It's just a nice place. Some might disagree, but I like DC. Atlanta's cool too, but when it comes to the career driven women, black women, D Darrell is out there in DC. I'm just saying.
Oh, DC. Okay.
Yeah, DC is a nice spot. And when I was out there, that was when they first opened up the Smithsonian, the Black Museum. When it first came on the scene, they were giving away the tickets, the Smithsonian out there, and I didn't come exactly on the time at the time when they opened it, but it was a little bit after, and I got a free ticket to get in there. But I had a chance to just do a little tour of DC, check out the nightlife. Oh, nice! And the women,
Look. You see my picture?
smart, very smart.
You
Go
see my
ahead.
picture? You see my picture right here?
Yeah.
This picture, guess where I'm at? Guess where I'm standing?
No, I don't know.
At the
You're in
Smithsonian.
DC?
Yeah, I'm in Smith. That's the
Oh
Smithsonian.
Oh,
wow!
okay.
You know they
What?
got
Look
those
at that, D
gardens in the
I've
Darrell.
been to
See
back.
there?
DC twice.
Y'all know they got them gardens in the back.
Yeah, I
That's me
see.
standing in the garden.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep,
I hired a
yep.
photographer to come and do my photography in DC. Yeah.
Yeah, but personally, I love it. I love DC. It's a cool spot. I had nothing to take away from Atlanta, but DC, if I had a choice, yeah, I'd go there. I'd be there.
Yeah,
Cool.
definitely.
Yeah, I've been to DC a couple of times. It's been a few years though, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was pretty cool. I've been in Atlanta too. Atlanta's it has its own unique situation.
Mm-hmm.
We need to
Mm-hmm.
export. We got to export some women up out of here. It's too many women, y'all. Let me tell you. No. Y'all think I'm not? I'm serious. They got to go. I love my sisters and everything, but they got to get up out of Atlanta because one of the things that happens in Atlanta is we have a strip club culture here.
Yeah, it is heavy.
Yeah, and so me and my husband have gone to the strip club together. It's very common husband and wife go to strip club together.
Right.
It
It's
doesn't
like
mean
getting in Houston too. It's like getting in Houston.
Yeah.
in Houston. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. People think it's like some kind of freaky stuff. It's not. We eat hot wings and drinks, and everybody goes with their husband and wife. It's not.
Right.
It's a social space. But we have that culture here, and it's a young city. But the thing is, because we have too many women here, it makes it very difficult. And I'm not speaking for myself. I'm just saying what I've seen. It's hard to keep a husband here because these women are so thirsty, and they would literally like try to take your husband from you. Like,
Right.
yeah. So they really like the married men here. They love married men.
In a quarter mile.
You're right. I think we're actually having a logical conversation. And I try to tell that to a lot of people. Like, married people are drastically sought after. And that's why I keep bringing it back into the resources conversation. Like May said it, because everybody you're having the dialogue of the have and the have-nots. And if another woman sees another woman slipping or not on her duties, she's gonna be like, well, May, you always at the office and doing that. Yeah, girl, like I gotta do this thing, and you know what I'm saying. Earl been cut back on his hours. Okay, I got that. Hey, Earl, how you doing? Now, Tanya trying to holler at May's man because there has to be a balance. I try to talk to a lot of people about this, like, and I had to learn that the hard way. Thank God I understand. I have time. I had time. Is between that of your professional or your work side, because money's good, but you still got to make time of learning how to deal with the intricacies of your family. And you got to learn how to actually have the networking capacity. This is why you see where, oh, this is just a single parent home. Well, there's a father there, but daddy's always at work. Or, oh, where your wife? Where your wife? Well, shit, man, after a while, the man start acting single because this woman is always out and about. And so you gotta start learning the proper balance of the network. Listen, I used to live in airport. I used to live on Airport Road, May. So I know exactly what you're talking about, girl. Augusta, Airport Road. I was all out there in Georgia. I understand that very well. When men have resources, they're like, "Oh shit, the world is my oyster." I got my old lady at the house with the churn, and then I got me a nice little distraught sugar baby on the side. Come on,
man.
D. You remember when I brought the sugar baby on? I brought them on, and they told you it is what it is. Older men that have wives, and they still have they had a young little chick. I've seen older women that have money that go talk to the forklift driver or the brother who's trying to get his stuff together. Baby, I'll take care of you. I got you. You start seeing these little things happening, and
Right.
these little past job things versus that of the tangibles, of the tangible situations. I met a man yesterday. He was at one of our hookah lounges. He was working the grill. He was frying and doing cooking outside, and his wife was outside with him. She was standing up making the plates. And people may say, "Well, I don't know about that." No, they running a nice business. They making plates. They made at least about what? Made like $1,100 in 5 hours. That's pretty good. That's real good.
Right.
And the thing about it is, they're like, well, when we get bigger, we're gonna get a food truck. But they're helping each other throughout the process. I don't think, and that's why I worry about a lot of people. A lot of people got to understand your money can't fix everything. It can't fix everything when it comes to children. It can't fix everything where, well, woman, I got to go to work. You handle the kids. That's the wrong answer, brothers. Those are your children also.
Well, let me say this to you, brother. One of the things I think would be so useful to the manosphere, and
Oh,
I
you
don't
can't
know.
help them, sister. You can't help them. They lost in the black hole of incel and red pill. Now they talk about castrating each other. You can't help that, baby girl. You gotta back.
Okay,
You
we
gotta
won't
back
talk.
away
Then we
from
won't
that.
talk about manosphere. But I'll just say, okay, I'll leave that out. I'll just say in general, I think one thing that could be helpful to the black community is particularly for black men and black women, but um people to really like do a budget. I think that would be so important. And the reason why I say that is because I think sometimes we jump out too fast and we start doing things that we're not ready for. And it takes time. When you say that word building, I really like that word building. I like productivity. And I think that, we can absolutely build as a couple, but what are we building for? And how much is it going to cost us? How much sacrifice? How long is it going to take? And I think that we got to do more planning. And that's one thing I do see, particularly. I've been around a lot of younger white folks, like when I was in college and stuff, and that's one of the things I saw. They're very, very meticulous, very detail oriented about planning. They have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. I think it would benefit us in our relationships because most divorces happen due to financial strain. We have
Fact.
to make sure that we are compatible. We have to make sure me and my husband both are cheap as hell, right? So we're perfectly compatible. If he was somebody who was wanting to run out here and buy the next newest car and he want to buy, this electronic, that electronic, and then there's always this debt and all this other stuff and unnecessary, we would have a problem. We just would. We wouldn't get along well if we were not on the same financial page. So I say all that to say we really do benefit from having a lifestyle conversation as well as a financial and budget conversation, because we may want a lot of stuff as women, but can the man that we're dealing with, can he afford those things?
Right. No. Yeah, I always break it down to how I tell my sons, son, you may want a Camaro, but can you afford the insurance and the payments of the Camaro? Versus that of you get yourself a nice car. You get yourself a nice car that's reliable, that's good, that you get full health insurance and everything, X, Y, and Z. But Dad, you know what I'm saying? But it ain't as flashy. As long as you know it's doing you good and you can ride with it and it's dependable, that's what you need. That's what you need in life. But you're seeing like you said, you found your compatible mate. Like, I don't have a problem with my old lady saying, Joe, I know you want that. But babe, remember what we talked about last week on what we need to take care of. Like, we met a man on the panel that said, I don't tell my wife no. I give her whatever she wants. Now,
maybe he can afford to do that.
Hold on. But see, now the thing about it, and this is the thing about it in the path of being a man, we have safety balancing checks for protection of our family. Just because my wife said she wanted, no, baby. We just agreed to get in the kitchen fixed. Yeah, but I want to get this, baby. We're getting the kitchen fixed. No, we got this project going on right now. I love you, but no. Same way as, hey, I want them new rims. No, babe. No,
but see, that's conflict. I don't see compatibility. I hear conflict. What you just said.
No, that's not necessarily conflict.
I see
that's
conflict.
That's not conflict, because that's how a health relationship, we're going to have dialogue or discussion of pros and cons. We're going to have dialogue, discussion of pros and cons, and that's health. That's fine. There's things that I don't agree on that, hey, I want us to do this. Well, babe, we got to go to church to go meet up with your mama, and then we're going out to eat. No, man, I want to sit at home and bum it up today. No, baby. Wash up, put on some clothes. We got to go out there for face to go see these people. Now, I don't agree, but she's looking at the bigger planning. She's looking at the bigger picture of family togetherness and networking versus that of, well, babe, I want me and the girls to go out to Savannah. No, the car needs a tune up and need to get work on. You can go out to brunch with them, but the car is not getting going on the road.
One person is always playing the adult and the other person's not being the adult. What happens then? Isn't that?
Well, y'all need to sit down. Y'all need to sit down and start dialoguing and start coming down to some conclusions of how to properly weigh out y'all relationship. These things do happen where sadly, some people get together where one is the more mature one, and they'll admit that, like, hey, my wife is way more mature than me. I'm a hothead.
I can't do that.
Well, no, I'm just giving you an example. Versus some brothers, they're more so of, ooh, like, your husband is all serious, girl. Like, yeah, but I need that serious part. You get what I'm saying, brother? Y'all get what I'm saying? Full circle and speak. Like, there's different sides of the art. Like, I'm not the most family going person. Like, everybody believes I am on YouTube. That's my old lady. Like, she invited all these people to my goddamn house today. I don't know what the fuck these people at my house for, but at the end of the day, when it comes time for family situational issues and stuff, I'm now in that position where they do come to me as that man saying, hey, what do you feel about this? What do you feel about that? Because we're more family orientated. That's the pros of a relationship, that you got to have that balance. And so this is why I'm saying, like, reach one, teach one.
But BMT, have you ever had to put your foot down? Sorry, sir, for interrupting. Have you ever had to put your foot down when she's come to you and say, you know what, sorry, sweetheart, babe, whatever you might, refer to her or speak to her as? No, I love you, but today's not the day. I've had a hard day. Today, maybe another time. Have you ever had to refuse, and turn her down?
I've had to do that. I've had to do that, and I have to And I had to be that stance. I've had to draw that stance on things like that. And I've had to be that bad guy in the household where, man, don't suck your teeth. That's to my children and also my woman. I've had to be that person. Not to say I don't love them, but I understand that, listen, I am the protector and provider. She's also a protector and provider. But sometimes if I'm the head of the household, there are some things I foresee that she may not be seeing right now. Like I say, hey, don't get in that car. I know y'all girls want to go out, but y'all been drinking at the house. We just going out to go grab some food at down the street. Give me y'all keys. Click, click, click. Y'all can sit your ass right in here. Y'all sit right in here. They wanted to go out and go pick up their girlfriend. No, y'all sit your ass right here. They may seem sober, but I say no. There's too many police checkpoints. Or she might want to go buy some outfits. No, we don't need them damn outfits. We don't need them. It's okay. I love you. You look fine. And sometimes I get hot-headed about certain situations, and she has to be that temperament of salve and peace. You get what I'm saying, brother? Where when I want to do stuff, she has to say, calm down, baby. Calm down. Like, we're going to be okay with the bills. We're going to be okay with this. You understand? Like, I have to be that stern, ironclad law. And sometimes she has to be the person that when I can't get through my talking points, sometimes she'll like, give him time. We'll address it back later. You understand? There's a check and balance to everything. And sometimes I understand I have to learn my strengths. And I go back and apologize. If I make a bad call in the household, I have to own that, brother, full circle. You understand that? If I make a bad call, and I've made a bad call once or twice in my life, it happens as a man. And I don't have a problem going back and say, I apologize, y'all. I made a bad call. My family don't beat me up. You know, they might talk a little shit, but they'll be like, it's okay, Dad. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll get back at it. You know what I'm saying? She'll say, okay, baby, let's try it this way. Or you know what I'm saying? We make a certain investment. You know, these things got to happen. Like, I want to understand that in the chat. Men and women in a relationship are going to have conflict. I get afraid when I hear couples say that they never argue. I get afraid. I'm like, okay,
that's when
what's going on? Right. Like, all right, what's going on with this? Like, there has to be some you understand what I'm saying, brother? Full circle. You would want your next in line to have some type of thought process of advising, or like, I don't know about that, baby. Like that. Well, I'm gonna go out with the no. That guy right there. Like,
but BMT, that goes all the way back to and you both, I'm sure, can relate, you and D. Darrell, the ones that are married, like you both up here on the panel. I don't know about yourself, speak, but even if you were, it goes back to the whole respect part. You know what I mean? To even look to you for your advice or anything you'd have to say, even your refusal, your agreements, your refusals. You know, the whole let your no's be no's and your yeses be yes. She has to be able to respect you. You know, yes. None of that back talk. The minute you say, hey, I told you once, I shouldn't have to say it again. You know how you see that in certain situations or relationships. It's that back and forth. It's like being spoiled, and she won't stop until she gets her way. If she respects you on that no, let it stand as it should, and be like, you know what? She respects me enough to know like it's always a next time. See, that's major. None of that we had to debate and go back and forth until she finally got her way. You know, to where it's like, man, she don't even respect you. When you said no, that should have been it. No is no. And that's it.
Right. No, and that's the thing.
I see the chat talking about money. who's being the adult and who's being the, you know.
But you know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, you know exactly how it is as a husband when we had these things happen, bro. You know exactly what I mean when sometimes we have to put our foot down in the household.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say this, man. It just doesn't go with money. It could, like you said, you kind of list several things that, you know, that's the power of having a partner, that if one person is saying things or want things that are not necessarily in the best interest, you have the other person to come in and provide the balance. I think it's healthy. I mean, as long as it doesn't become toxic. But that's just the course of a relationship. You know, one person is going to want some things or want to do things that that may not be the appropriate thing for that time, and that's the purpose of having a partner that can identify that and put you in the right course.
Hey, D. Darrell, but I got a question on that. And brother, speak. You can speak on it. You as well, BMT. I can't read the chat, so I don't know what they're saying. You know, not like that, but I can't see it. But I'm gonna ask this question. The chat, if you said what they said as far as the money, I have a question. As far as who's wearing the pants, it'll still go right back, literally full circle to the Ebony Williams thing. She brings in more money. Doesn't have to be Ebony Williams. Any woman could be even May with her degrees, bringing in the money. Who's wearing the pants? BMT. Look at this. As far as the respect part, you putting your foot down. She feels or thinks or feels she's bringing more money. Does she have the right to make that call and be like, I don't have to listen to nothing you say because you make less than me? You don't bring home the bacon. You know what I mean? As far as the respect part, does she still have the right to disrespect regardless of how much she brings?
Well, nobody has the right to disrespect regardless of how much money. But see, those conversations are things that need to be discussed prior to being married. And to me, one of the biggest issues with marriages is that there's a lot of things that should be discussed in the premarital phase that are not discussed. And a lot of people think getting married, some of these things are just supposed to go away, and they don't, and they permeate within the marriage. So, stuff like that, issues like that with handling money and making those things should be discussed before you even put a ring on it. Before you even, when you do put a ring on it, you still need to continue to like May talked about, people having plans and 5-year plan, 10-year plans, 20. Those things need to be discussed in the premarital phase.
And I asked that just real quick, brother speak. I asked that because in relationships, there are cases where money has been a major issue. Like you said, get it out the way where it's on the table, it's at the forefront. You have some that might be lying to themselves. Oh, we never had to discuss money. We don't have to discuss money. We don't have to talk about money. Or the ones that say that people get married, only broke people get married. You know what I mean? I'm looking at just the money part. You've heard of that before. They only broke people get married. Forget love, all that other stuff. But at the same time, it's going to be a part. It plays a major part, money. It's hard to kind of go around it. But that goes back to the honesty. And as you said, D. Darrell, that has to be on the table because you'll have some women, and regardless of it being 2023, it usually goes back to that. Not about the car you drive, how much money you make. And remember that was always major. That was like a make it or break it for some. You know, men wouldn't trip off of that. Even some men say, yeah, I'll date a woman that works at McDonald's or Walmart. But for the women on the other end, they looking at it, it's like, how much money do you bring? And us, we just seeking somebody like, a companionship or a partner. But for the women, money plays a major part. But maybe once again, we have to step back and be like, well, to be like the Ebony Williams, maybe you ain't doing it for me. Maybe you need to step up to the plate.
I mean,
go ahead.
As a man, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you have a wife, you have to be economically viable. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and tell women not to look at a guy that ain't economically viable. I'm not saying now the issue is when people think they deserve millions of dollars and I'm supposed to live on this status but I mean, if you're a man and you're not economically valuable to take care of yourself and a family, you shouldn't be getting married.
Right.
It's one of those It's one of those things where, and this is why I say, like, these kind of things, hopefully, sadly, they're not being taught at a young age and passed on to young adolescents. This is why you see young women and young men that do not want to get married because they done watched the struggulations and latchkey problematic issues of their parents. You get what I'm saying? So they kind of ward off away from that and say, nah, I'm good. Like, I had to raise my brothers and sisters, and having kids ain't an option for me now. Or, listen, we always had to share clothes or different that. Like, we're seeing these things. So that's why I'm like, ain't no need to even try to tell these kids about don't do the don't shit. They done watch it and live.
In my community, most kids are not in marital households.
Exactly.
And not only that, even when they in these marital household. There's always a lot of strife, sometimes violence. Sometimes it's not a place of love.
Yeah, but
you got places. You got.
I get that, but we do have functional. The black community does have functional marriages. We do realize that, right?
I get
Right.
that.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. Go ahead.
How many of us was in these functional relationships like that? I can look at my ex-wife. She had a functional family. All her brothers, only one of her brothers is not married, but he ain't got no kids or all hanging around. The rest of them are married.
Right.
In my family, my older generation were married. My mother, unfortunately, my brothers did not. Well, my mother got married, but she got divorced. But I saw the strife, even with that marriage and stuff like that. A lot of strife and a lot of stuff that happened between them, and that made me like, nah, I'd rather not.
Are you prettying it up by calling it strife?
Huh?
Are you prettying it up by calling it strife?
I
just say struggles. They seeing the hardship. That's why I just call it
Is
like
that prettying it up?
struggles.
Yeah.
No, it's a struggle is a struggle. There's nothing else. A struggle is just a struggle. So if
you think the majority of the problems are due to struggle, like you that is the word you would choose.
Well, I don't have to say. Well, if I'm saying trauma. I said that earlier. If I said trauma, and I said struggles and financial issues, right? Because if a young lady said, I don't want to have kids because I had to raise my brothers and sisters, so that was it for me. And then she's telling you off of that of her experience. Or if a young man saying, listen, I don't have the financial means, or I don't have money to be taken. Like a lot of men, for the most part, are minimalists. They live a minimalist lifestyle, and the men on here can tell you that because they're like, I don't take care of a whole nother life. Like, no, bro. Like they watch their household from a broken household go through that. So they don't want to see that, especially with unfair systematic issues. So
for this idea that men are minimalist more than women, do you have any support for that claim?
Yeah, men less black. There's not as many black men that buy houses on their own. Like you literally, most black men
buy. What minimalism means?
Well, you asked about one. You asked about one example. Like I don't know that many.
Example of minimalism.
Well, I know most men, if they can get a doggone a bed, a TV, an Xbox, and a job, they're good. Like literally,
that's just financial illiteracy.
Wait, how you calling them financial illiterate now?
If they think that it's better to rent a small space than own a home.
Well, why are we judging if that's what makes them happy? Then why are we calling them financially illiterate? I know plenty of brothers who got them.
We're talking about money.
Well,
you don't
I mean,
understand that it's financially irresponsible to rent.
Wait, now it's financially irresponsible to rent now? Like,
Darrell, who am I talking to? What's going on up here?
I'm trying to figure out what's going on now. Also, like, where are we going with this? Like, a man that literally has a job and he has his own stuff. How is he illiterate? How did he become illiterate?
I mean, you know that when you own a home, you build equity and generational wealth. So you're acting like you don't know that.
That's not necessarily true.
Part comes in.
That's not necessarily true. I know plenty of people have gotten home and go bankrupt and literally lose the property.
What does that have to do with home ownership?
Well, you just made
go bankrupt in an apartment or a home. That's kind of a separate issue, isn't it?
How do you go bankrupt in an apartment if you literally get evicted? How do you go bankrupt?
There's a dude in the sector named Shakim who went bankrupt without owning a home.
Oh,
I have the
okay, y'all talking.
Of that. Yeah, that
okay. So y'all talking. Oh, y'all talking about. Wait. He went. Wait. Bankrupt from renting. Bankrupt from renting. Like, how do you? Okay. So see.
Wait a minute. Wait. Slow down. Carrie, where we going with this?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, Darrell, like, where's it going?
That's maybe Darrell. He's talking about he doesn't know that it's irresponsible for a man to throw his wealth into renting a small room instead of buying a home. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, what level are we on right now?
Wait.
if
What do you
you're
mean? Okay, so
like
why would
what?
that be a problem? If
I
you're
thought
making
y'all was a
enough
bunch of
rent,
grown men. I don't understand.
okay, but ma'am,
yeah, what?
making enough money where the rent is not an issue for you, and you're still saving the money anyway, why would that be a
Well, that's why
problem?
I use the phrase financially illiterate. Like, is
I,
this a
I
real
say
question?
illiterate. If I know
Okay,
how much I'm bringing in,
You're saying
and I
rent
know that
because you
this
can
rent
afford
is
it?
only that much money, so I would know what rent I can pay, what I cannot pay. That's
right.
how.
How is that financially illiterate or irresponsible?
Now,
That's
if you're just doing that and without no plans or goals or anything like that, yeah, I can understand. If you're renting way above your means, if your rent is $2,000 and you're only making what, 2,500, yeah, that would be literally
Well, that would be
financially illiterate.
impossible. Yeah.
That would be financially illiterate. But if your rent is, let's just say, 500 and you're making 2,500, that's not financially illiterate.
Darrell, what do you say about
Also,
that?
if you're
What do
putting
you
that
say to
money
what he just
away
said,
and
Darrell?
which one?
Well, listen. Of course, when we're looking at renting versus buying a house, of course, a house has proven to be a better tool to build wealth over time. I mean, to me, renting is only viable until a point that you can afford to buy a house, because basically you're making somebody else rich by paying rent to the property that they own. So it's always going to be more
Thank
advantage.
you for saying it, because I didn't want to say it. Maybe they'll listen to you.
Well, okay, so Darrell, so answer me this, because I don't know how anybody jumped over it. If the man, and you've been on my panel, this is why I say I don't know no shock hymns or any of the other crazy shit. I'm talking about what we talk about everywhere else. So we're talking about most men, and full, you're here, brother Speak, and hell, guys who are just starting out in life, they don't have a silver spoon. Hell, some of them are happy they're building their credit. So if they're like, hey, I got me a nice job, I got me a car, I'm doing good. When they start making investments into a home, is when they see something worth them actually putting that type of investment in there. And I see women go do it. You know what I do for actual living, but I don't see men running up to the agency saying, hey, I want a house. It's not
But
something
wouldn't it be a problem,
Pathetic.
BMT? I think that's a problem. Wouldn't you say?
Pathetic.
No, I think they're saving their resources because I think. Well, here's the thing. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying that would be a problem, but most men most men are looking at what's holding their resources. It's like there's not that many agencies or systems in place to help men. Like I seen
There's first-time home buyers grants in every city, in every state in the union. And that's why I
not
said
true.
financial illiteracy, because there's clearly some information that you just don't know. And you can be offended and defensive, but if you think that it's wise to
I'm
spend
literally the
years
guy
and
who
years.
builds the houses. Wow. I'm literally the guy who actually builds the houses.
I don't have nothing to gain by telling you this. Do you? Rent your life away. Do
Hey,
you?
can I step in for a minute?
Please, full
Yeah,
circle.
go ahead,
Please.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna go off of what D. Darrell thinks, BMT, off of what D. Darrell was mentioning about the house and the home. Now this is gonna go right back again. This has nothing to do with and I'm repeating it as far as Ebony staying on topic, but I'm still on that. But I'm taking from that D. Darrell with the house right now and the renting. You got some cases. It's cold right now. When I say cold, it's a cold game right now. You got the men, and I'm on some old school right now with what I'm about to say. You got the men that got houses that don't have houses. You said to BMT, the ones that want to rent, to each their own. But right now, and not even right now, yesterday, you got the women, and this is not even about competing. This ain't nothing new. Women, I mentioned about having a car, all that stuff that women be seeking and looking for. You got the women these days that are like, that don't mean nothing. I got that. and I got a house. They're not even trying to compete with us as men or black men, wherever they live, Houston, Texas, the big homes, regular homes, whatever you can afford. They sitting back looking at the men saying, at least have something. You ain't renting. Okay. You got your head together. As you said, D. Darrell, where that could take you, a start off, a jump off as far as wealth, having financial literacy, where you can go with that, what it can do for you, let alone the conversation about having land. We don't even want to go there. When that conversation pops up, we're like, acting like we don't know. But it's not just the ignorance. In 2023, we should know. We need to know. And the women have already, I don't care if it's Atlanta, I mentioned DC, they've stepped up to the plate where they like, I got a home or two. But when they have that man on the dating scene, if they are getting approached, they want to know too, as far as looking up to the leadership. And we don't want to go into the topic of submission, but women are looking for that. Literally, when it comes to the financial literacy, if you want to go there. So to each their own. But when it comes down to it, it's kind of sad in a way when the women are like, you know what, been there, done that. I got myself together. And then they come across the man where it's like, you know what, regardless of their choice, I don't have nothing. I'm still in the beginning stages, even to BMT. I get where you're coming from, even if they saving money. But it comes to a time, because there's levels to this where it's like, you ain't even there yet. And they might be like, you know what, yeah, because of this, and this. A lot of women out there not even listening to that. We used for the sister that just came up here, the application, the job, employers and stuff. You come to the scene thinking that you want to get this particular job, coming with everything correct, and they sit back like, sorry, you aren't the one. I gotta refuse. You didn't get the job. And you sitting back, I didn't get the job. That's how women are looking at it too. They're cutting dry these days. It's like they want you to have your stuff together. We want to have our stuff together. But nowadays, it's not like woulda, coulda, shoulda. Even on the housing scene, where it's like if you got that shot, take it, because you'd be surprised at what it can do for you. Even though that's a different topic, but it's still on the topic of money. Still gonna go back to money, ebony, all of that. It plays a major part. But we can go back and forth with the housing thing. You know what I mean? Where it's like, if it's smart, if it's ignorant, why couldn't you? Why didn't you? But it's so sad, because at the end of the day, we at the bottom, while everyone else is like, you know what? I did mine. I got mine. Everyone else except for us. And we're still having this conversation of we could have and we should, or what we shouldn't do, when everyone else is rising above. And the black women are looking at us as if like, what's y'all's problem? What's going on with us? You get what I'm saying? Where it's like, it's not even confusing. It's being, once again, when everyone else earlier was up here, even with May, being honest with ourselves, not with the sister that's speaking as black men. We know the do's and don'ts, what we should and what we shouldn't do, where we should spend our money. Even with the whole, the sister mentioned, minimalizing. What is the definition of it? When it comes to certain things, we get that. You don't need the rims on the car. You don't need all that, but we can use that toward that. We can use that toward the mortgage and pay this mess off. Forget the 30 years. Forget the 15. What about 5 years? You know what I mean? Being literally knowledgeable. It makes no sense. And women are looking to us as leaders, but we're not being honest with ourselves. And we can go there with the house and the home. And then if one day, if y'all do get together, y'all might have some children one day. She's going to be looking at you. We're going to have to move out of this little hut. You might sit back and be like, well, this little studio should be good enough. You should be happy with what you get. You're not being honest. That ain't cool. That ain't cool. Go ahead.
Right. No, so the thing about it is this, and like I said, and I've been building homes for a while and doing a lot of stuff. A lot of men, especially for black men, have gotten the short end of the stick. Okay. And a lot of things have happened throughout that of black society, from mama and grandpa's land being sold to jobs of certain contracts being taken out. A lot of things have happened. Understand? So hell, there's not even a guaranteed. There's no certain guarantees when it comes for a lot of men. Again, that's why I said I don't like doing the trauma thing. Not saying that it's happening up here, but what happens is,
well, BMT, are you looking at this from more of an investment standpoint for the houses, or are you looking at
a house is an investment, brother. I know,
yeah,
but I just not bought
that.
Right.
No,
but
what I'm saying is,
uh-huh.
What I'm saying is that, being that you are in real estate, I'm wondering, are you looking at it from just like from a flipping standpoint, of how are you looking at it as, this is going to be a place I'm going to stay for the next 20, 30 years of my life?
Right. Now, see, that's the thing about it. Why I asked I had a young brother come up to me, 25 years old, said, I'd like to buy a house. I said, how long do you look to stay in this area? He said, well, I don't know. I'm just feeling myself out. I said, well, damn, what? You don't know? He said, well, I'm a journeyman. I move around. You understand what I'm saying? Like he's never even home. He's never even home. So I'm like, okay, so you're gonna be paying for a house that you're not gonna really even be in? I asked him. I'm asking him that question because I bought a house. I was never two of my houses. I never even stepped foot in, Dean. I never even stepped foot in them damn things. Everybody done been in them houses, partied. Kids been in them. I ain't never been in my houses. I at least want, if the brother's gonna get something, let him have time to actually settle into that damn thing. And so when I don't have a problem. I want black men to buy houses, property, brick and mortar, but I also want to make sure that you understand the weight of doing that. And it's very easy. Like I could tell you a lot of doggone companies out here. I can tell you a lot of companies, but when I said honestly, black men are not the biggest homeowners or buyers. They're not. And I was telling that because a lot of younger men are worried about that of, hey man, like shit, the buyer's market hasn't been very hot right now for us. That of going to certain places. You've seen a lot of men. I'm going to Atlanta. I'm going to Houston. I'm going to DC. They've been divesting to wherever they can find a viable spot to stay afloat. So first of all, you gotta know your market. And you gotta know if that market trying to help you get a job. Like you got men running from the West Coast over to doggone the Southwest. Yeah. And right now our economy is fluctuating. Like these are things I have to know. And I asked another brother when he come out here, like, hey bro, why'd you come out here? Well, I thought it was gonna be easy out here in the South. Nigga, what? No.
But BMT, I gotta ask you something. So what's missing, man? I'm just asking because you brought in an example of the brother that you spoke to, where the market. Maybe two examples. You said one, he's never at home. The other one, where the market is shifted. Nothing towards you, BMT. I've noticed this as well, but I'll use the brother that you spoke to. We're filled with excuses. Not that that's a bad excuse, but it's not something that we haven't heard before, because I've heard that one before too. Not that part of just not being home, the market fluctuating. And what I've noticed, catch it, D. Darrell, others all around us, non-blacks, catching it like a frisbee, left and right, where we're left out. The other excuse, and not that it's an excuse, the banks won't offer us. The banks ain't working toward us. The banks ain't trying to help us. I've heard it all. So I sat back. You got one brother. He didn't mention about the banks or about the ups and downs or per COVID or the 19. You get what I'm saying? He just said that he wasn't around. He wasn't there. So I'm trying to sit back, and I kid you not, and I said this on another panel, BMT, D. Darrell, I'm all about us winning. Enough with the excuses, because I'm not going to use that example that was used. Everyone's got one, that everyone's got one. I'm using that similar with an example. I mean, excuses. It's so many excuses, BMT, to where it's like, when are we going to win? Not even win, not how. I know we can. I'm just myself personally done with the excuses, to where it's like, you know what? And even at a young age, with the ones at a prime age, they might be making BMT heck of a money, where it's like, what's really your excuse? Because as you said, D. Darrell, it's an investment. It's a heck of an investment. The market goes up and down. But when is it going to come to a time where it's like, you know what? You got like on some Oprah, you got one. After that, you keep going, get 2, 3, 4. When is it going to be to the point where we got that mindset? Because we can only say so much for so long about being ignorant and not knowledgeable. It's not making sense and adding up.
Now, full circle, you brought up a good point, and I always try to tell people, the thing about it is when I dealt with a lot of my constituents who are of different other cultures, they have a net parachute to fall back on if they were to fail. You understand me? They have something to fall back. If they fail or they flop, they got something to fall back on. There's not a lot of parachutes for black men when they flop, and so I understand that, and I'm not disattaching myself from that. And yes, I do. Like I've been there to help brothers go down into the county. There are people who defaulted on their property. I tell them how to do it. I've told them how to do it. and I could give them the cues to say, hey, find out what fits your that B word budget. Shout out to May. You find out what fits your budget. Find out what program. That's why I brought it. A lot of black men do not have good credit. Come on, D. How many of these young black men understand what credit is or how it's been worked?
But B&T, okay? I'm gonna throw this at you. I gotta jump in. Okay. So this is good. Excellent conversation.
Now, anybody else
let's
can chime in if you like. I mean, I don't want it to be just a
for everybody.
Anybody else carry a boat? Brother Speak, you have anything to say? You can chime in.
Go ahead, sister. You good? Mine can wait. I'll go after you.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind. Yeah, I think it's very interesting when people make like something about gender, to make it seem like women, I think, like have a silver spoon or something. And it's like want to get into a debate over whether it's harder for men or women. And I mean, if that's useful to a person, I'm not gonna hold you, but if the problem is that black men aren't able to buy homes because they have bad credit, then say that. And if there's something black women are doing better, when I first came up here, I came up just to share because I heard a couple of comments about how men were desiring of women who would like submit to his patriarchal authority kind of on financial decisions, or that's how I interpret it, right? But in the majority of US households, it's women who make financial decisions. It's almost double the number of households where women make major decisions about like houses and cars, as there are households where men do. You can look this up. Pew Research did it, Forbes did it, a few different, publications covered these studies. And you'll see, there's evidence to that. Like if you look at car commercials, there are car commercials that are geared towards men, but there are a lot more that are geared towards women because it's mostly women making those choices. And I think that might be because women often make better choices about how to spend money and what's best for the family and the food budget and these types of things. And a lot of healthy, happy households, the women kind of make a lot of those decisions. So I wanted to point that out there with the whole, like, whatever the problem is. And if the problem is that black men have bad credit, it's certainly, you can't have that and then be saying black men aren't buying homes because they're minimalists. Because I am a minimalist, and minimalism embodies getting the most from your money as you like possibly can. And even if I bought this home I bought now because I enjoyed the job I have, that's like a block away, so it's convenient for me. But if I sell this house tomorrow, dude, in the last couple of years, this house has gained like $120,000 in equity. So renting a room, that it's predictable, but a mortgage is predictable too. And rent, they can raise the rent every year. They do raise the rent every year. I'm still going to be paying the same mortgage 15 years from now as inflation goes up. So homeownership is the simplest wealth building tool for working class Americans. Regardless of whoever fault you feel it is, black men aren't doing it. Like, the solution, in my opinion, would be to encourage these men to be actual minimalists and not spend their money on foolish things and get some fucking property. Because even if you have to move, it's so, I'm gonna shut up in just a second. Thank y'all. It's so hard to buy a home right now, but it's only getting worse because all these corporations have bought up all these houses. Like, everybody's number one goal who doesn't own a home right now should be to be in a home in the next 5 years. Because I don't even know if it's going to be possible in 20 years to buy a home. And I'm going to shut up now. Thank y'all for listening.
Okay. And I'm coming right behind her, D. Durrell. I'm going to go to BMT. And thank you for that example. You brought up a good point as well. Depending on who becomes the next president, who's going to come in as the next president, whatever. But a great point. BMT, this is for yourself. You mentioned a heck of a point, which you're right. A lot of black men, even we don't have anyone to talk to or go to or speak to. That's one. Two, the other part, before that part, was the part that you mentioned as far as someone to fall back on. What I've come across, and I have plenty of examples on just this topic, the home part and being a minimalist. I've seen black women, not the competing part, the comparison versus each other, where the single mothers, they usually have a parent, a mother. I don't know about the fathers, but a mother, and they'll have a child, and it'll be the mother watching their son or daughter while they're at work. But that's not it. That's not all. The women, if you want to say single mothers, they'll have 2 jobs. And you might think to yourself, that's crazy. And you think to yourself, well, I'm trying to get a job. I'm trying to hold on to a job. Not that you're saying that, BMT, but the part of, as far as falling back on something, anything, if anything happens with the purchase of a home, it's like the women are as if like nothing's going to stop me. Because for one, I got my parents when it comes to the falling back on, but not just that part. That's a great thing if we even have that. But the women are getting 2 or 3 jobs. And you got the ones that say, well, I go to college and go to school and I got a job. What I'm saying is not that I'm trying to put it on some type of pedestal, but I am doing the comparison to where it's like excuse wise, where it's like the women are stopping at nothing, going back literally full circle with the dating thing when it comes to face, where it's like not just bringing to the table. So what's going on with you? Well, what's going on with you? Well, as far as the dating life, social life, I have none because this is my my goals. Comparison wise, having that vice versa with the men. Well, I feel you. Guess what I'm doing? I got 4 jobs, not to compete, but to say, well, dang, compatibility. We both working on something. Can we not sacrifice? Can we do that? Will we be able to do that? Because it sounds like we got something in common. We both are working toward something common, not competing, but when it comes to excuses where it's like, well, I can't do that. Well, why can't you do that? She's doing that. Us as men, why can't we take the sacrifice? Flipping and going right back to the homes. There should be no excuse. Because isn't there, D. Durrell, I don't know, BMT, a stat of the women that are not just educated, getting college degrees, buying homes. Like, that's insane to where it's like not competing, the men should be right there with the women, single or not, dating or not, saying, that's what I need. Because the sister just said it. In the next 5-something years, you're going to be out. You won't be able to get anything. So I don't want to hear the excuses where non-blacks is like, they just taking up everything. Maybe because I didn't know. That's BS in all respect, language-wise. That's bull. We do know. We just don't want to. It's one thing, BMT, to be just out the rates. It's just always something. The rates, the percentage, the APRs, it's just too much. But when it was feasible, some still sat back and said, I don't think I want to mess with that. It's just, market's just, I don't think that's for me. It comes a time when it's like, you know what? Then what else we going to do? That's why I mentioned to you earlier. I mentioned earlier across the board. I'm just done with excuses. I am.
No, that's fine. Like I said, like the education for blacks is going up, but the marriage rates are drastically going down. The economic presence is of so-called so many blacks are making money, but the cities and counties are still looking dilapidated more than ever. I'm trying to figure out, like, when we hearing these things, I'm looking at this kingdom that's being built of these people of so excellence, and then
You
when I
think
look
people
back
going to
at,
college would make the cities look less dilapidated?
well, I mean, it depends on what you put into your own town or your own suburb or your own area. Depends on what you put in there. Okay,
I'd like to
so
rebut the idea that women have a safety net. Can I just introduce one fact?
what's your say? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the vast majority of people who are evicted in this country are single black mothers. Being a black mother is the number one predictor for evictions in this country because of how unsupported and alone and underfunded so many black mothers actually are. So if it's true that women have all these, the reason why we're getting ahead is because we have all these safety nets. I think it's like, for example, in the city of Milwaukee, Black neighborhoods represented only 9% of the population, but women from Black neighborhoods represented only 9.6% of the population, but they accounted for 30% of the evictions in Milwaukee. So that's just one example of how the reason why Black women are excelling and having good credit isn't necessarily because they have this great safety net.
Well, if that's the case, then I would honestly have to push at that and say, well, how many black men honestly put their name down on the lease when they apply for an apartment or a place or anything like that?
Well,
when literally the
that
one,
actually
so
proves
hold on,
my
excuse me.
point.
So
You're proving my point.
So and that's the thing about it, is that woman allows for that. She
Well, you
allows to
just said,
put
but
her.
if men are able to get women to support them with a place to stay, that's
Hold on.
evidence that men have a safety net provided by Black women.
That's a safety net. How's that a safety net? How's that safe? That's a bad investment. Wait a second. So let's look at that. And I'm gonna hit at this, but this is why I'm teaching a lot of men that I'm hearing men let the women sign the lease, but then when it comes
They
down
let
time
them.
for well, I mean, mind you, I mean, the woman usually tells you to, or they'll get coached to say,
Oh,
"Hey,
she
girl,
tells you to. So these men could go get their
can you
own
let me?"
apartments, but they're choosing to let women do it for them.
Well, no, it's not. They could. It's just the thing about it is, if she gets the apartment, and says, "Well, baby, I got the apartment," or literally, we understand that I've seen. I do own these properties. That I've seen where more women have signed the paperwork, and then me and my people will sit there and say,
And so
"Hey,
who's being
is there
provided a
anybody
safety net?
who's providing the safety net?" Well, when she comes there with a welfare voucher
Mm-hmm.
or a voucher, right? And I'll say, "Well, how'd you get that?" But I've never seen a man come up with a voucher and say, "Hey, I'm putting this down on getting a
So
place."
if
I've
the
seen a lot
woman
of
is
women.
providing the voucher for the man that's providing the housing, surely with his
Why
input
would she
into
do
the
that? Why would
household,
she?
they should be able to make rent. So what safety is he providing her? What resources is he providing her in these
Well, guess
scenarios?
what? Dick and attention. That's the resource you providing her, because literally that's all.
Come on, man.
If that's what you. Well,
Yeah.
hold on. Well, hey, I mean, hold on, D.
So that's what these men are
What we
selling
going with
themselves
this?
for,
Please
right?
let
Well,
me
no,
know where we
see,
going with
I'm
this.
having
No,
a conversation.
this is very interesting. Yeah.
Well,
So these
because here's
black
the.
men who are selling dick and attention for room and board, you were saying they're not being supported enough. The women have the safety net. But
Well, we're talking
this
about
is all
systemic.
very
We're talking about
interesting.
systemic. We're talking about systemic issues, because here's the thing about it. When it comes to getting these type of, when it comes to getting these type of issues like affirmative action, there's not a lot. And I could tell you right now, for like in
How did
Charleston,
we get to
uh,
affirmative action?
well, we're
Are
looking
these
at
just your
systems.
favorite talking points? Okay.
Well, I'm talking.
I
I'm
thought we were talking
talking.
about black men making responsible financial choices, but by all
We're talking
means,
about black
jump
people.
off
We're
into
talking about black
affirmative
men and
action.
women. Well, we're talking about black men and women.
No, you
I
had
mean,
alleged that black women have that black
no,
men
actually,
aren't
I
getting
didn't.
houses because
No,
they're
actually,
personal
I didn't. I
choices.
mean, hold on. So here's the thing about it. Hold on. But you coming up here and you started shouting stuff and screaming names and stuff.
Oh, is
We're
that what
having
I
a
did?
conversation. Yes, you did. You did do that, ma'am. Now, when it comes to
What name did I
looking,
shout?
Shara Kim, are you? Does your mind or memory
How?
like?
Oh,
Did you
is
not say?
that what you mean by
Okay,
shout? That I
Did
mentioned
you
him?
not say that? I mean, you said that. I mean, just saying.
You said I
Like, come on, D.
shouted
Come
it.
on, D. You did
I'm
shout it.
letting y'all have a discussion, man. Because I
Would you
don't
like
know
to
where
hear
it's
what
going.
I did
Okay,
wrong?
I don't. Well, hold on, D. Well, it's like whenever I talk, I'm keep getting like
Okay.
somebody I was calling in it.
Carry in. Let him finish his thought.
Thank you.
Carry in. Okay.
So,
He seemed
so the
like he's
thing of
getting emotional. That's all. I was just
it's
concerned.
Let
here we
him
go, D. See what I'm
let him
saying? I'm
finish his
not
thought.
doing. I don't say nothing when this person says something. Okay. So
All right.
the thing about it is
Why
this,
are you so
and you.
upset?
Carrie.
So
I mean, his
I'm sorry.
energy is wild. These are the type of men who'll be acting
I'm
like, so
starting to
why
see
is his energy
why
so
I'm starting to
aggressive?
see D Darrell why a lot of people don't like this woman on your panel, bro. I'm starting to understand this, bro. I thought it was just they just don't like her, but I'm starting to understand why they be blocking her and kicking her out. But hey, now I don't even know this woman from a whole paint on the wall or nothing. I don't know you like that.
You
Like
coming
we
at
didn't.
me so rough. If I'm wrong for
I'm not.
acknowledging it, you are talking
No,
to
I'm
me a
just.
Okay.
little crazy.
I'm just saying,
Carrie.
like,
Carrie.
chill, dude.
Carrie.
I'm
Hold
being
on.
respectful to you, man.
Hold on. Carrie.
Are you? That was you
Let
being
him.
respectful. Okay, what am I doing to
Carrie.
you? Because I'm
Carrie in.
apparently I disrespected
Listen,
you.
man.
So
Carrie, can you hear
you're
me?
respecting me.
Carrie.
Yeah, D Darrell, I
Listen.
apologize. I'll be quiet.
Okay. It's just I just want him to get his point and then you can rebut.
Okay.
Okay? That's
Yes.
fair?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, D. Listen, man. Full circle. And I'm just talking to you, dude. I'm only talking to you. Like you asked
Who
about.
you talking to me or?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm just talking to you about when you brought up about
Okay.
these issues,
Okay.
okay? And we're looking at this. We're looking at the issues of a lot of men don't know how to properly go about finding the proper advocacy or avenues, right? When a man, and so when it comes to when I talk to some young men at the colleges or people getting out of high school, and I said, well, what are you going to do from here? You know, and they say, well, I want to go to college, but my reading ain't that strong, or my math isn't that I'm not that really good. I just barely got through high school, you know. And I was like, well, damn, like you can still, you still want to do college? Nah, I'm just going to go straight into work. You know, like it's not as push as it is in our culture towards the men on the proper guidance as other cultures, how they're reared and trained on family, learning how to do certain communal work, policies. Some men still don't even know how to properly vote. They vote to whatever that of what they're told to vote. You understand me? But they're not actually They don't actually think or actually push back on that of the policies or politics of things that are pushed out there on certain narratives. You get what I'm saying?
So I get what you said. Sorry for interrupting. So
no. Like I said, let's get back in the bill, man.
Okay, well, no, we're good. I'm gonna go back. I'm trying to with what memory I can hold on to, and nothing against you both or all three of us on here. And when you were back and forth with the sister on the panel, the part I'm going back to something you mentioned about the vouchers. I'm still on the homes, the vouchers, but I'm gonna throw in what you just said as far as what the men, the young men, what they just come out of school with, just getting regular mediocre jobs. This and the other. Are the women the fault? Not the. Okay, take it for what it is. The fall women, you know how you got the fall guys, just that term, fall women. You mentioned the vouchers. So, and it's not just a pushback, not like that. I have a disagreement because, and I'm asking you, are the women the fall women? Because the last time I remember, I thought the men, the whole thing, that won't change as being the leaders in general, submitting, all that great stuff, that talk, where it's like, okay, they didn't have all this stuff as young men, but they looking for the women. You mentioned the D and attention. Remember D. Darrell, you laughed at that. But I'm listening to this where it's like, this is crazy. So because they didn't have certain things in life, we brought up about how the women can fall back on things and the men can't. But at the same time, since the men didn't have this and they were lacking certain things as a young man in their lives, they got the women and they can use the women, and not just the women using the men, but the men using the women with the vouchers, where it's like, okay, that's a bunch of hogwash. Yeah, it happens. But at the same time, even with the D and attention, to where it's like, okay, so that must be what it is. That's why with all this asking, why can't we, men, why can't da-da-da-da? Because maybe it's the mind, the mind thinking, the mind of frame. I can't even get it right because I'm just like tripped out right now.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm like, look at BMT. Because I'm like, our thinking is that the case? Because the whole voucher, I think I can't get past that, because it is, you're right, they have vouchers, but we shouldn't be relying on them as the backup. You know what I mean? That's like they're the fall person, and then we plopping our butts up in their home. They the ones got they vouchers, let alone even signing it. But then when we up there just because what? We there? What are we able to do? Just to do some little, if we're not just sleeping on the couch or just, D'ing them down. It's just our mind frame, our way of thinking. It's got to be turned around, BMT, because it's not making sense when the women are looking at it like, if anything, I should be coming to you, not just for the voucher. You're the man. You get me, BMT? You're the man. It don't make no sense.
I got you. Let me hit you out with that. So
go ahead.
So I've seen Latino Chica and Choco Choco and Dora the Explorer go down there to the ABC office and go get them vouchers while their dudes are out there sitting at the corner doing odd jobs under the table. I've seen that. I've watched that. I've seen there was an article put out there, and I don't know how it was overlooked. You could look it up. The Jewish community, they were doing a voucher scam where they were making millions of dollars, and literally getting sub-housing, subleasing, and literally the women were the forefront. Like, other groups don't mind using their women to a means to an end to get to what they want, and then play Yahtzee. But it's a different catalog amongst our community on how we're taught. We're told that if we use a certain type of system, that you're either shamed or berated, or you're called a welfare queen, which actually the welfare queen was actually a white woman, or you're literally called a Pookie or a Dusty if you literally deal with that type of woman or that type of architect of a family setting. So how we're perceived or looked at as that, you understand me? Or the mindset of the psyops put out there is definitely different. So when I tell a young brother, hey, put your name down on that lease, you understand me? I tell them, put your name down on the lease. So in case something happens, but the first thing that will happen, we're going to ask the question, who's on the lease? Who's on the lease? And if you say, well, I'm not on the lease, my girl is, but this is my place. No, it's not your place. You understand me? It's not your place. That's actually her place, because her name down on the first, but I gave her first and last. I know brothers who give the woman money for the place, but their name ain't on the paper. If your name ain't on the paperwork, you have no paperwork trail. So when we go to the court, you got to go. You got to be out.
So BMT, I'm sorry, BMT. So when you speak of the voucher, I'm sorry, with the voucher, when you, okay, and so you can help me or teach me the vouchers, are we just talking about the vouchers to get what?
You can get so you can get there's vouchers for food, there's vouchers for housing, there's
Okay.
also vouchers for medical aid or medical assistance, right? There's different types of vouchers. There's different types of vouchers programs. I actually got to sit into a class and listen to the type of vouchers. We only just know it as, oh well, just housing, right? But that's what a lot of people were told through that Big Mama or through the grapevine.
Okay,
Versus
so
that, yes.
okay, so BMT, I gotta say this. I'm glad you said that. I had to ask first before I have to say what I have to say. You mentioned the other groups, and I get that. Absolutely. For one, they're working together. They're working together as a unit, one unit. On the flip side, you said this, but you went in reverse. You said you don't have to just do. I was waiting for you to say from the apartments to a house, but you went from the house to the apartments. I'm asking, why can't we as you use the other group, have that mindset, have that exact mindset, voucher, the lotto, whatever, lease, whatever, have that mindset as a unit instead of it being, as you mentioned, with the other cultures, the women do this, the women do that, whatever. With us, and you got to be in all honesty, depending on the not experience, the examples that you might have seen, why we can't have that mind frame to where it's like the woman is doing this and the other because we don't see it because it goes back. I'm not talking about even the apartments. We could use that, but we're still back on the housing to where it's like there's no reason, no excuse because you yourself just use that and use another group or culture that's doing it. So why is it when it comes to the woman with her voucher for a house, apartment, back to the house? We can't do that. So as men, as we sitting back, letting her do all of that, not just the work. I ain't talking about physically or manually. She's doing that because that's her voucher. We sitting back like, yeah, she did all of that. And I'm just going to prop myself up in her spot. And when it comes down to it, as far as any say so, you ain't really got no say so because you ain't really put no work in. It's her voucher. And I'm just talking about a house. Along with, as you threw it in there, culture's doing it. But we can't do that. So there's really, once again, I'm going to flip it once again, go back to this. There's no excuses because you even co-signed that and said other groups is doing the cultures. Why can't we, BMT?
So here's the thing about it. And I'm going to show you why. Because, and this is why I brought up politics and how we're raised and trained, okay? Because when it comes to that of the voting politics and policies, right? When it comes to talking about that and blacks and certain types of advocacies of using, because businesses use certain types of stipends and vouchers. I shout out to D. Darrell. You were talking about PPPs, right? And you were talking about that. And you were trying to debunk that of the narrative of the talking points that were being pushed out there to blacks about PPPs. Now, that's crazy that D. Darrell, an educated man that literally is in therapy, has to teach and educate blacks about PPPs and how to properly use it. So when you're hearing that, because of how the narrative, when people see something and how they appropriate it, whenever they come to blacks full circle about education or certain types of stipulations, it's like a talk down method. You understand me? It's a talk down method. I know you see that whenever they're talking to us about politics. I know y'all must feel that. I don't know how y'all listen to it, but it's like a talk down, like they're dealing with a child. Versus when they're dealing with other groups and policies, they're more so having to deal with certain sets of demands of how to deal with certain other groups. And that's a big, vast difference when it comes to working for that of the family.
I got to respond to D.
So
BMT,
you think this is more because of the stereotypical connotation towards black people receiving government assistance?
Oh yes. It is a very, like, whenever they talk about welfare or broken homes, they always talking about blacks. And I hate that they always do that, but they don't bring up they don't bring up other groups. Like, they'll say, oh man, you like food stamps. You know the first thing they say? Black kids. They don't ever talk about white kids. And mind you, there's more white kids on food stamps than there are black children, but they'll say black kids. When they talk about single parent homes, they don't bring up other groups. It's the negative nicks and inks of relationship, family, politics, and stuff. When I get why you say, what's the excuse? When you're constantly when that person, that young individual is constantly sitting in front of that TV or any type of media and constantly shown D. Darrell or any of y'all that negativity of this is why broken families. This is why this and that. Black. And I don't agree with that.
But BMT, I gotta give. I'm sorry, sir. I gotta give some pushback on that. I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, you mentioned the politics. D. Darrell was mentioning what he said, government policies. Okay, I'm gonna throw this out there. If it's May, eyes, we got the sister here. Sometimes I get carried away herself. Even when they talk about marriage, D. Darrell, even with you being married, they talk about like, why do I got to get married to get the government involved? Why can't it just be, them not being involved and just have it on some, agreement, contract type of thing? Without the government. Okay. Or that. Now, okay, right. So look at BMT. You mentioned the politics. And I did bring up excuses. I've been bringing up excuses. I don't understand because if it's the politics and you got a voucher, you got food stamps, all that other stuff, whatever's got to get you Section 8 home, and I'm the man and I'm the leader. And from a young age to a grown man, being taught or not taught, and I got to ask, maybe it is just TV, maybe it's social media, whatever the heck it got to be. Politics, okay. If I'm that man and I'm in that woman's life, you mentioned the other cultures, there's got to be something in me as a man to be like, look, ain't nobody else involved. We ain't even talk about the marriage part. The marriage is there. It's on the table. It can be a part of it too. You and I are doing this, regardless of the president, Biden, Obama, Reagan, whoever's in office, politics, the government. You and I got this. Once again, I'm going to use not it against you, your own words, but you mentioned other cultures. They find a way to do it. They have issues in their home. They have issues as a family, as a couple, but they find a way. I find it hard to believe to when it comes to politics plays a part only so much along with the government. But if I got you, I got you. If we a couple and we doing this. So that's why when you mention the politics, and let me calm it down, I'm not revved up, so it's nothing personal like that. I'm just, this is a lively conversation.
You're good.
I'm looking at it where, how can it be? Because it threw me off when you mentioned politics, but the politics and the government and all this other stuff, they play a part, but only so far and only so much. I got that woman and I got to do my part. She coming with the vouchers, this, that, and the other. What part do I play as a man, as a black man? What part do I play in her life? Am I just going to sit here like a bump on the log or just depend on her? No wonder I won't get the respect and the whatever submission. That's some other stuff, as I said earlier. That's why I would be getting the pushback as a man. I don't get that.
How much do you think politics and policies play into that of the black home?
It plays a major part, BMT, but I get that. But as far as relying, you done already relied on the government to do their part. And they, regardless of the man being pushed out the home and being in the home, they've done their part. They've given you so much. She ain't working. She getting the vouchers, the welfare, she's doing everything, let alone heaven not forbid. It's not a bad thing. So for the ladies listening, it's not against, if they got children, if they got a family or even thinking about having children, what part do I play? Do I have the whole government and politics come into my home and do they think? Because remember, that's been a discussion. We've been kicked out of the home. Well, guess what? You in the home now and you on her voucher, on her dime. So what part do we play? That's what I'm asking, BMT, where it's like, that's why I kept saying excuses. And then I actually, I'm gonna do it for the third time. I'm gonna bring in what you said, the other cultures, somehow they find a way. Holidays, whatever, they work a way out. They sitting back as if like, whatever language, you know what I mean, Hispanic, whatever. It's like, yeah, they doing it. They finding a way. You doggone right, BMT. They do find a way. And it's where that man is sitting back saying, dang, she can't do it all. Respectfully, I got to play my part. What part do we play? Not just that culture, as you mentioned. We see that all day, every day. The examples. When do we step in? When do we come in? I ain't on no Dr. Umar thing, D. Terrell, but I'm real talk.
Oh, Lord.
When do we step? I know, right? When do we step in? And that's what's lacking. A lot of black women are giving us black men pushback, regardless of YouTube sector, whatever we talk about, on the field, off the field, and looking at this is like, really? It literally full circle goes back to them with the degrees and having to step up. That Kevin Samuels, rest in peace, whatever. I'm a PhD. I used to trip off of that when he would say that. I'm a PhD. Well, you know, doggone, we ain't giving them the PhDs. They doing whatever they got to do. They doing what we got to do, regardless of being in the home and out the home. It's always been that thing. Well, it's always that conversation, BMT, most of the time. We ain't been in the home. We've been pushed out of home, kicked out of the home. It's always that where it's like, okay, now we in the home. Now what do we do? What do we do now? These women are looking at it as if like, you know what, you can leave. Better yet, and don't let it be where they sign the lease and it's stay home and you moving into their place. You're done. You get what I'm saying, D. Darrell? So we need to step up to the plate. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, let me let Carrie Ann go. Go ahead, Carrie.
Oh yeah, Carrie Ann. I'm sorry. Now I got your name. Yeah.
No, thank you. Yeah, they people act like, well, we have a tendency sometimes to like overly pathologize blackness and black people. It's all women all around the developed world who are, the more money they make, the more they're opting out of like relationships and preferring education and money. So it's like it's so bad in Japan, like they don't even know if they'll have a country in 200 years. And in Korea, they're paying women to have babies, like cash money. So yeah, now that women aren't really forced into economic submission to men, things are going to have to change, right? And I have to tell you, like, I'm not dating, I'm a celibate person, but I just listening to a lot of men, it's just amazing how much they don't like women. You know what I mean? And just they just kind of are jealous of women, or if you disagree with them, they angry, or they, you know, you want to break up with them and they try to kill you and shit. Like, I mean, it's just wild. Like, you know, as women are up under from the yoke of the patriarchy, it is interesting to see, to me, what'll happen over the next, like, 20 to 50 years with relationships. But it's not just black women doing that, it's white women too.
So the thing about it is, and this is reality, full circle. I'm glad that was said. This is real. I wanted you to hear that, because being in this space for the 7 years, I've heard a lot of stuff said from women and from men. I've heard a lot of incel talk and femicel talk. I've heard it all, and honestly, I don't know what kind of reset. Listen, I don't know what kind of reset it's gonna take. Actually, I was so happy when C-19 did hit, but after a while, people started seeing like, holy crap! Like, I don't want to do this by myself anymore. Like, it's going to be something hard pressed like that. Like, I get it. After a while, the excuses are running out. Like the cost for food, the cost for the certain types of advocacies and talking points. Yeah, they're going to run out soon enough. That is true. You know, you very well, maybe you will be right. Like, I'm starting to see people buy and get properties together. Get properties together and everything.
Yeah, that's a
But
smart idea. I was going to bring that up earlier. Yeah, that's something black men
so,
should start to do. Yeah.
but like for me, I'm too old to want to share a goddamn house with like 5 other
That's
adults.
what a
Like,
lot of those Hispanics do. I did it. Cohabitating is a good way to get your wealth up, even if you don't make a lot of money. So we have our preferences, but if you're talking about not making excuses and building wealth and power, like, you have to do what you can do.
So I mean, if that's what people want, I'll listen. I have no heaven or hell, and I do see that. I see Africans doing that. I see different groups doing it. I think some blacks are starting to catch on to doing that too. Don't matter the diaspora. So I'm not going to tell people what to do. But I am fine with at some point. At some point it is going to be a hard reset. Women aren't having children like that anymore. But women aren't having children like that. Men aren't doing family anymore. Like, when women say, "Well, are you gonna protect?" Hell no. Women go to the pawn shop and get a gun. What are you talking to me about that shit for? And then you got the women that men asking about, "Well, you're not a mother." You're right. I don't want no kids. Like, those 1950s and another conversation talking point, or nobody has the power to shame anything anymore.
Well, I mean, I can see some of those things you're naming as a really positive development. Yeah.
Okay, now tell me how looking at the way society's going right now, how's it been positive?
Well, I think the thing that society is suffering from now is economic injustice. So I would have agreed. I didn't want to, upset you or whatever, but I agree with a lot of your points about vouchers. I probably have a much more leftist view on that than you do. But the fact that, like, domestic violence is still such a big problem in society. Like, it's not imaginary, it's real. It's good that women don't have to be trapped in relationships with men because they have no economic power to leave. Like, that's a positive thing. And in the end of the day, there probably will be fewer families and maybe even fewer kids, but the world is like overpopulated. So fewer kids to like responsible men who don't terrify women with their anger and issues and shit, I think would be like a much better world. That's why.
Can I jump in on something that you just said,
Go
Carrie?
ahead, Professor. Go ahead. The gates are full on open.
All right, so check this out. I think it was you, Carrie, which I agree to a certain extent. You said that as far as the women, it's across the board. It's across the board when it comes to, I guess, I don't know what they're going through and having families or being single, whatever they're going through. Because you mentioned it was black and white. You said the white women do it as well, right?
Yeah, not just some Asian. Everywhere in the world where women are wealthy, the
Yeah.
population rate is going down. Yeah, that's a
Okay.
fact.
Okay, so you threw in, and probably I didn't hear it. You mentioned the wealthy part. You talking about the wealthy women, or just wealthy cultures, or just the women? Wealthy
The
women.
women who have more money are less likely to breed.
Oh,
Everywhere
okay,
around
I
the
got you.
world.
Okay,
Everywhere around the
gotcha.
world.
That was the part that I missed, the wealthy part. I was looking at it because I didn't hear the wealthy part. And check it out, BMT. The average, just the regular. I was still on the whole family and the families getting married. BMT, yourself, D. Darrell. That's where I was at, Carrie. And I'm not talking about the celibacy. Mad respect to you for that. Congratulations. That's 100. Check this out. When I'm out and about, I look at the other cultures because I think this is literally like black and white, where it's like black and white, black and white. When I'm out and about, I do, not because I'm searching, I'm trying to hook up and trying to snatch up. I look at the women, I look at the men. And when I say that, going back to what you said, BMT, the other cultures, even the ones that are all 5 or 10 to a car, 5 or 10 to a house, I look at their hands. Half of the times, maybe I don't see the men, but I see the women. The women got rings on their finger. And when it comes to the quote unquote Hispanic culture, that group, they're big, not just on family, they're big on marriage. And I sat back, I was like, wait a minute, even with the education, knowledge, this and that, ignorance, this and the other, we were always big on when it comes to family. When it comes to our culture, how did it get turned around and flipped around? Regardless of the religious background, Catholics, whatever, they're big on marriage. Family, definitely. Being stacked at home until they can get this, and this, and this, a home, a car, this, whatever it takes, even to the career of human resources, whatever it's going to take them to the mountaintop. But they're big on marriage. And even if it don't work out, they're going to find somebody. But for the best part of it, they're going to try to stick together. They find a way. They might not even love each other, or the love that ran out. They stick together. Like I said before, the point, marriage is big in the community. Black and white, we going through something over in Asia. They going through some things too. But it's like, can't sleep on them, because it's like they got the memo. They got the message, the marriage, sticking together. They do have their ups and downs, but they get it. And it's almost like they know where it's like, if anything, that quote unquote family is everything, that's almost like tattooed on them, because they realize it. They get it. It's like, how did some of us miss the memo? What'd you say, Carrie?
That's only due to their poverty. Like, when they have kids that make it to college, those daughters grow up and don't be having kids. It's only the poor people everywhere around the world that have a bunch of kids.
But you don't think it was because of what they've been taught from a young age, that's what time it is, or
no,
that's what
their lack of opportunity has allowed that culture to fester or whatever, because there was no alternatives for the women. But the second those women get that money, they start having abortions and not getting married.
Well, okay, but okay, sorry, Carrie, but don't forget the part that I mentioned, the marriage part. I get what you just said, abortions and this, but remember, I told you when I'm out and about, I see rings. I see literally marriages. I'm not saying I see them at the altar and at the church down the street somewhere, but they are literally married, like they're big on marriage. I won't dismiss what you said.
Their daughters who get educated and get money, they get divorced too, where their mothers didn't. No, I've worked in the community. I'm from, I've seen it with my own eyes. Is the more money a woman has, the less likely she is to get and stay married.
So you're saying because of the ones being poor, it works out best for them. That's what that's about.
Most married, a lot of married, not most. I'm not gonna say most, but a lot of married people, if they won the lottery, they would immediately, like, a lot of people are trapped together.
Okay, because I threw that out as a joke. Well, not as a joke when they say people get married. Before you came on, Carrie, that only poor people. I said that earlier, D. Darrell. Only broke people get married. That was being put out at one time, and now it's like, and I'm just getting it from you, Carrie, is that confirm that that's really what that is until you get wealthy and get some money that goes out the door. Because I'm looking at a character where it's like if they get the money, but at the same time, they need love too. And I don't think that they date down because when I've seen it in the Hispanic community, they do go for the best of the best. It ain't about no. At the time, it might be on some brokenness, but when they get to where they get, they are as well on the ebony thing too, and they have that right, and they do get
Say it's
degrees.
about comparing ourselves to other races, though.
No, you know what? No. It's not doing a comparison. It's looking at it to where when BMT was up here to be like now we.
No, hear me out. I promise you, I'm not about to be that simplistic with it. Hear me out.
Yeah.
When it comes to people who come here, like Mexicans and people from Guatemala and everything, they tend to be extremely hardworking people, but it's a filtering process. Like, these are the bravest, most ambitious people from their country who came here under those circumstances. It's not like everybody back home is hardworking. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't judge a race by the people that immigrate. That's not.
And it's not the whole race too, Carrie. Just let me throw that in there.
Well, and
I
it's
wasn't
the people, right? No lazy person is gonna do all that. People come to America because they want to get rich.
Of course.
It's a certain type of person that filters. It's like how what do they call those schools? Charter schools.
Right. I'm just taking it, Carrie, with the reset that BMT said, because it's like some will say, check this out, D. Darrell, it ain't gonna happen during our time. And it's like, okay, well, it's gonna be when it's our children, our grandchildren, when will the reset happen? Because they're gonna have to face it as well. They're gonna have to face it as well. But at the same time, I dislike, not that I know everything and I'm not a psychic, to where we're still at the bottom and we're at the bottom. You get what I'm saying? Not even a comparison and competing, or I got to throw in competing, but not a comparison. We're at the bottom. You know what I mean? As far as the stats, where we were just speaking about houses. Remember, Carrie? We were talking about houses earlier and how we should really have the houses. Yeah.
It got really emotional.
Oh yeah, it got there, but no, on some realness, without the emotions, where it's like we know where we need to be, we know where we can be, regardless of who was going to allow us the money and give us a loan, all that other stuff. We have the knowledge. It's only so far we can go where we just don't know. And others know.
If I'm wrong, but I think that reset thing is a incel talking point about how they think women are going to be starving one day and begging nice guys to date us because we're starving or something. Is that what he was talking about?
I don't think that's what it was, because that goes back to the point of like winter's coming. I think you recall that, D. Darrell, back then, and I won't. Remember all of that mess, and that proved to go in the opposite direction. Carrie, winter ain't coming for a lot of these women, because we just spoke about it and proved that to where the women. May was just up here.
That's incel talking point. It is.
Because that whole
somebody's gonna be starving and need to go to them and they don't even own a fucking house.
But see, that went back to the voucher thing. And remember, I was bringing that up to say, like, but if winter's coming, but why is the men relying, let alone, and it's just a signal, you know what I mean? It's the woman's voucher, but it's like the winter ain't coming for the women. It's looking like it's coming for some of these men. And you know what I mean? You know how these are real? Right. It is. And that's why I said we have to be honest with ourselves. And some of the men, the blind leading the blind, and even with some of the ones, and you mentioned the incel talking point, they looking at each other, having the same conversations. And I can't come at you like that, D. Darrell, because obviously you married to a black woman. So I can't be like, well, D. Darrell did her. You one of the ones who, no, you're not. Carrie, you celibate, you doing your thing. You just watching it as the mist goes by, like the movie The Mist. You just watching all of it go down, but you like, well, I'm fine. So it's just crazy. It's like not even a crossroads of what we're going through. We've got some over here that are married, some are incels, some are doing this, some are MGTOW. You know what I mean? Remember that back in the days, D. Darrell, but it's still here. You hardly hear about that, D. Darrell. You catch that? MGTOW was the talk of the town. And when you came into this space, you know, right. MGTOW, I'm MGTOW, they was on it. And now you got someone that's like, I don't even hardly hear that word.
Nah, nobody talk about MGTOW.
You hear that? They must have gave up and said, you know what, this ain't working out. I do not like this.
MGTOW was back in the day what the Passport Brothers are right now.
Right.
Well, I had made a separate, it's one of the only other alternate accounts I ever made. Because I was like, I'm celibate. I kind of feel like I'm going my own way. So do you know I made that profile to go talk to the MGTOWs?
You did? Wow.
Oh,
yeah,
Lord.
I was scared to show my face because those guys terrify me. The way they hate women, that shit they be talking about resets and everything else. It's just like, yikes.
That's the
but you hardly, like you said, Darrell.
I couldn't, man. MGTOW guys are depressing to talk to.
No, I thought some of them were cool. I really did.
And
it's just that I haven't heard of the name. I haven't heard them in a while. D. Darrell and Carrie.
Yeah, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah. I just haven't heard him in a while because it was the talk of the town. It was the thing, and some had stood on it. I'm not trying to go up against them and get at, but I noticed it's like it'll be Catch It, Carry, D Darrell. It was back then with MGTOW. Then it was SYSBM, D Darrell. We ain't got to go down memory lane. It was all this stuff. Then it's the
Right.
passport, SBE. It's always not in real life, just the sector. It's always a title or name. It'll be something else. You know it.
No,
It's
no,
like it's
no.
always something. Then it'll disappear and be like, well, what happened to them or that group?
Yeah,
It takes a minute, but it just disappeared within the black community talking points.
yeah,
Like, what happened?
they create new acronyms. SBE is gonna be popping in about a year, and then it's gonna be something else.
It'll be something else.
Me.
And I think we have a lot of our men. You mentioned, as you said, Carrie, growing up, or maybe it was BMT growing up. You got some listening or watching. They like, well, I don't know which avenue or which one to jump on. Which stage do I jump on? This stage or this stage? This one? Well, this one they want to burn the women, hate the women, torture the women. I think I'm gonna jump, but I don't think I need that because I gotta get my needs met. You know, it's just confusion. And I just wish the black men would be like, you know what? I'm just gonna be on some Jedi and I'm gonna follow the Force. I'm gonna go with the Force on some kung fu, monk, not even monk, just
I can respect that.
yeah. But use your own, go with your own thinking. You know, don't just be a follower like that to be like, I know what I need for me. Like you said, Carrie, you know what you need for you. D Darrell, you got married, you got your thing going on. Nobody, you do you doing you, D Darrell. You do what you do, but it's worked out for you. Obviously for you as well, Carrie, but you got many, not a lot, not many, majority where it's like, I don't know where to go, so I'll just go follow the next best thing. And in some cases, it's not working out for them. So it's just like, oh my God, what's going on with us?
More women would start listening to these men and how much they hate our guts. Because you know, I've been accused of hating black guys before. But I've never heard anybody get accused of hating black women. And there's so much hatred that's just constantly lobbed at black women, in my opinion. So yeah, I wish more women would like listen to these niggas and believe them when they talk.
Right. And I don't know where we at right now, D Darrell. I don't. I at one point I did back, and you've been in this space for a long time. It's changed, not just the growth and one's coming up with channels, but it's changed in a major way. Yeah, it has, D Darrell. It's changed regardless of how long you've been around, Carrie, you know, coming in from, if it was just yesterday, it's changed to the point where sometimes you just got to tell yourself, like, I don't know anymore. You know, you in your mind deepness of deepness, you know, but when it comes down to it, you don't know anymore. And it's not that it's confusing; it's on a whole different level, and I don't think it's going in that direction in a good way, you know. And if you care, and I don't even have children, D Darrell, you know, kids, to where you're thinking about them as well, to where it's like, okay, this is just YouTube, this sector. What about real life? And when you see them, you kind of feel sad because you do want the best for them. You know what I mean? Unless your heart is just cold and black, where it's like, I don't care about them little whatever, because they're going to have to grow up one day too and get to have that education. A bunch of PhDs, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, MDs, whatever degrees, they're going to have to go down that road too. They can either go in that direction or in the direction of another, you know what I mean, direction. And we don't want that. And then they looking back at it where it's like, but you didn't show me. You didn't teach me nothing. We got to blame y'all. Because talking about baby boomers, it's going to be some being baby boomers too. Each generation is going to be on the baby boomer. So we can't sleep on that. Right now, some of us be like, oh, it's always the baby boomers. They're going to be blaming us as well. So when does it stop to be like, you know what? This generation got it right. Doggone it. They did it. They was the ones. But I don't know, D Darrell, Carrie. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So guys, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Any last words, Carrie Ann?
Yeah, I just want to say I agree with all the stuff in the vouchers. Like, we need socialized housing. Nobody in America should be homeless, and nobody should have to pay rent. It should just be a human right. And that's what I want to say. Thank you for having me up. Good night.
All right, peace. Any last words, Full Circle?
I said enough, D Darrell. I said it. And you know, I've been on your panel. It's been a minute. And I was just thinking about reparations when it got shut down for California.
We used to go at it back in the day.
We did back in the days. And you know what? We've come a long ways. We used to go back, D Darrell. That's why I said, you know what? That's in the past. We got some history and on some full circle, turning things around. I'm in a better place. You know what I mean? With as far as the back and forth, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
What content you looking at now? I don't see you. I mean, I don't go in certain spaces I used to, but I
Yeah.
don't see you around as much as I used to.
I don't. You know what? I got other things going on. I used to be out there like that, and I mentioned this, and I did say this when I was on Reg. I said this on another platform that I took 2022 as far as being on panels. I took a vacation the whole year, but I did it for me.
Oh, that's what
I did.
happened.
I would be in a chat. I do donations, but I didn't get on no one's panel, and I did that from January 2022 up until December, until I jumped on in January, and but that whole year, that was for myself. That was just some self type of just reflection, D. Darrell, since you asked that question.
From it.
Yeah, it was just self-reflection, just to look and check out channels to see what people were saying, had things changed, what was going on, just people's thoughts. And even if it was from whoever, Lapeep, anybody jumping out, the new ones, I just had to sit back and be like, but what has changed? What are we doing? Solutions, everything. And I sat back, I said, you know what? I just need a break. It was a mental break, not breakdown, D. Darrell, just a mental break to be like, I just need to just rest my mind, because it can be overwhelming. And I said, once 2023 comes, I'll be back again. But that's what did it. And you won't really see me as much right now as you grow and you mature and I mentioned a mindset. I choose now the platforms I jump on or even listen to, because mentally it's enough to just make you not jump off of the cliff or a roof just to be like, I can't. So that's what, and I still do that now. You'll see me catch some things and I'll do it. Like when we were talking about relationships earlier, just be honest to yourself and shut it down, turn it off. I mean, walk away. That's what I do now. If it's something where it's like, you know what, I can't get with this, I will click it off or turn to another channel or do anything, because mentally it's not just draining, but it hurts. And if you want to keep that mind, and you got a good mind, D. Darrell, and the ones that came on the panel, you want to keep that mind, certain content you don't want to have in your life. You don't want to have mentally, because it can literally do something to you. And it's like, I didn't need that. And I started to see that. And I would, D. Darrell, I can get with the best of them, even with the debating, arguing, not just emotion, just when I get it in, I get it in. I did a 360, and this in the beginning of this year, and I did a self-reflection and said, you know what? That's not what I want. That's not what I want. And I didn't want to become that, because I saw what I was becoming. And I sat back and I said, there's parts of me to where it's like, I said this on another channel. I said this on Reg. I want us all to win. I do, D. Darrell. I want us to win. And it's not helping if I gotta be because I can get it. And I sat back, I said, you know what? No, this is not the way. And this is who you have right now, man.
Right. Well, hey, man, it's cool, because I mean, we was always respectful. Now we had our little debates, but it was never out of crazy
it wasn't.
or nothing. But things, you had disagreements and stuff,
and the part that drew, and D. Darrell, sorry for that, the part that drew me to you, because I said D. Darrell got a career, he a therapist, he got his life, he got his home, he got his wife, he got his family. You got some things, that others don't even have, things that they by choice don't want or could never see themselves have. They might not want that, but in your case, you wanted that and you got that, and so you're definitely blessed. So and they say, be around certain ones that's going to help you, or could possibly help you maybe get into the next level, if you know what I mean. Even if it's just content, things that you might not know that they could help you with by just listening to them. If it's some things that make sense that they really, really could help you, and you trying to get past a barrier and you having a hard time, certain ones that's worth listening to. There's others it's like, in your case, it's like D. Darrell got some things. You got certain ones that come on BMT, Faith Factors. I'm throwing out names, name dropping, where they got content, things that they talk about, where it's like, you know what? They saying something. They talking about some things, that probably I needed, and I didn't have the answers to. And there's others besides Faith Factor and BMT, the ones that, that usually are regulars, with you and rock with you. But there's others out there. And that's rarely where I'm at right now. It's got to be something that just clicks, where it's like, I needed that. I needed that today. That's where I'm at. Yeah.
Well, you always welcome to come, man. I'm always here, man. I'm about doing topics that, different topics and having people talk. It ain't got to be all the yelling and craziness going on. It can get there, but I'm about having real conversations, man.
Right. And it's a variety, D. Darrell. I said this on another channel. Doesn't have to be about the, you know what I mean? But JJ, on a regular basis, you can have that conversation, but how does it tie into other things? Not just strictly that. You know what I mean? Just because we mentioned about the women, we mentioned the homes, money, relationships. It was like a combination of things to where we are and what's going to help us get to the mountaintop, to paradise, the next level, you name it. What's going to help us? It all plays a part. Even if you're single, looking to get married, celibate, whatever in your life, just win, D. Darrell. WIN. Just make sure you win at the end of the day. And when you fall, make sure you get right back up or get back up.
Right.
And you learn from that.
All right,
That's
man.
it.
Well, that was a good end to that, man. Appreciate you for coming in, man. We're gonna go ahead and call it a day.
Yeah.
Appreciate everybody for being here. Peace, brother. Peace. Peace to everybody.
Peace. Thank you, D. Darrell. Peace.